Well, what's up, everybody, and welcome into a special edition, a special SKAP After Dark, a SKAP Live After Dark, I should say. To all of you guys, welcome and thank you for being here. Figures to be a bit of a smaller crew, I'm sure, tonight. But Gary, moderator Gary, and I decided we would hop on here and go through this series that will be, make our predictions, kind of unpack the matchups that we're watching for, of course. And, I don't know. I'm interested. Gary and I haven't talked at all offline about who the other one might be picking. I've been mulling this over, going back and forth all day long. And I figured rather than do a standard video for it, I figured why not just hop on and do a SKAP After Dark live, since we have a couple days off before the start of this NBA Finals series officially gets underway. It will be, of course, on Wednesday night, I believe 8 or 8:30. Gary, give me a little head. What is it, 8 or 8:30, Gary? Do we know yet?
I'll check that and confirm. I'll get right back with you.
All righty. My guess would be like 8 o'clock, but hell, we'll wait and see. There's other things in the sports world today that we can get to if you want to. Obviously, I am willing to go in whatever direction you guys might want to take it, as always. I do also have I got an email actually from the Out of Pocket variety show, who sent me this playoff bracket, this like variant bracket to review a couple weeks back. It essentially removes all of the like dynastic teams from the last 25 years. And he has included some of the best non-dynastic kind of teams in that. So I do want to just kind of look through it, and we can discuss that as well. I'll put it up on the screen. Gary and I can maybe make our picks. We'll do that later on in the show. And then, like I said, of course, we can go in whatever direction you guys might want to head in terms of comments and stuff. We'll get to that as well. But looking for a bit of a quieter night than usual, and a shorter night than usual too. As always, my plan is about 90, a quick 90, get in, get out, get a nice, stay rested, get sleep, stacked for what will, I'm sure, be lengthy live stream shows coming up after each one of these games. But without any further ado, let's just start talking about this NBA Finals matchup, which to me is one of the most anticipated series in the finals round, at least, that I can think of for roughly the last decade. I mean, probably the Cavs and maybe the Cavs and Warriors, the first matchup when they added KD. So 2017, basically the rematch after the 2016, of course, the 7-game masterpiece of a series where the 73-win Golden State Warriors blew a 3-1 series lead. And Kyrie Irving and LeBron James were the best two players on the floor for the last 3 games of that series. So I'd say then, KD added in the offseason there for the 2017 run. And then, of course, the Cavs were still fully loaded. They still had Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. So super team v super team in that matchup, KD v LeBron James. Probably after that series, this is likely the most anticipated series now that we're going to get in whatever 8 years that have followed since 2017, or 9 years, I guess. And realistically, look, there has been no staples in this series over the last 4 years. 8 different teams have played in the last 4 NBA Finals. So the NBA has done it. Adam Silver, who is a complete unmitigated failure in pretty much everything he's attempted to do over his tenure, has at least succeeded in one thing. He wanted to usher in some level of competition in the NBA. The word I'm looking for, guys, is escaping me. But he wanted to essentially have what the NFL had. Parity is the word I'm looking for. Where a team can go from worst to first from one year. Like, how many times do we see in the NFL where a team goes from like last that year before to the number 1 spot in that division and then makes, a playoff. I mean, the Patriots are coming to mind right now that went to the Super Bowl. That practically never, ever, ever happens in the NBA. You can, again, like I typically say, pick 1 or 2 teams preseason, and pretty much 1 or 2 of them will be representing in the NBA Finals. But I would say more than likely that is not the case this year. I think while maybe some would have anticipated the Knicks, I think they were preseason 5th odds-on favorite, so not a terrible long shot. The Spurs were a longer shot actually than the Knicks to start the regular season off, and their odds had vacillated substantially throughout the regular season. They were fairly long shots, the Spurs were, to get here until basically January. Things started heating up for them in terms of their odds on to get into this series and maybe to ultimately win it. Though odds can shift drastically on a dime, on the drop of a hat, when you least expect it. In fact, just like a week ago, the San Antonio Spurs were plus 550 to win the NBA championship series. That, of course, after they lost game 5 and the Oklahoma City Thunder went up 3-2. At that point in time, the Thunder were massive odds-on favorite to win the championship. They were minus 170 when they won game 5. And the Spurs, again, just plus 550. Now the Spurs, an overwhelming favorite heading into this series. Yes, overwhelming. I was looking at all the different books throughout the day. I looked at maybe 5 or 6 handicapping sites, and the Spurs are anywhere between like a minus 210 to up to minus 250, whereas the Knicks are anywhere between plus 150 to plus 190. So that is an implied betting odds for all of you non-degenerates out there. I am a proud degenerate, and I have been wagering on sports for like 30 plus years, or 30-ish years, I guess I should say. And I still, even when I am not wagering, I am still looking at the line, still fascinated by what the general public's feel is on a series, or what the odds are from the almighty Superbook in Las Vegas. And for those of you who do not understand the numbers that I just rattled off, that is an implied favorite line for the Spurs of about 75%. So Vegas thinks they are about a 75% favorite to win this series, which is a substantial favor in my estimation. So the Spurs, realistically, I think, are the heavy anticipated favorite to win this series. But look, the Knicks have been amazing in the last month plus. They have not lost a game, I believe, since it was April. I want to say it was April 23rd was their last loss. So they haven't lost a game in over a month. They have won 11 consecutive games in the NBA playoffs, granted against not stellar or elite competition, but still, playoff teams are playoff teams, and they've been absolutely smoking everybody that they played to this point. They went down 2-1 in the first round and have not looked back since then. Since going down 2-1 to the Hawks in round 1, the New York Knicks are winning games, the 11 games they've played since, 11-0, with an average margin of differential of 23.7 points per game. Just purely outrageous how good they have been. Their offensive and defensive net ratings in these NBA playoffs are tops both ways. They are led by guys that are having essentially career years. They're playing the best basketball they have ever played in their lives at this point. I'm talking about Brunson, Towns, OG Anunoby. Like, basically their whole lineup is crescendoing and peaking at the absolute right moment. But then you've got the Spurs on the other end. The Spurs, who have come through the fire in the Western Conference and played substantially better opposition than the New York Knicks have played. I mean, look at the opponents that the Knicks drew in succession. Like, they played the Knicks in the second round, who needed 7 to get to them. Then they played the Cavs in the ECF, who needed 7 to get to them. Whereas, look, when the Minnesota Timberwolves matched up against the San Antonio Spurs, they had just eviscerated the Denver Nuggets. Yes, the Nuggets got 2. Well, the first game 1 was a legitimate win for the Nuggets. Their second win at game 5. That was just a make-a-wish win, just a completely hollow, useless win. So the Timberwolves absolutely spanked the Nuggets to get to the San Antonio Spurs, and then the Spurs beat them down. Then, look, the Oklahoma City Thunder hadn't lost a playoff game in like a year and a half, basically. Since they had run it this opening round. They went 4-0 to get in to play the San Antonio Spurs, and then they were beaten by the Spurs. So the level of competition substantially heightened for the San Antonio Spurs, and they have been as good as advertised since February 1st. That was since February 1st to end the regular season. Think about that. The regular season ended in mid-April. So that's 2.5 months of sample size. And in that span of time, the Spurs lost only 4 games. And let me take it a step further. They lost only 2 games in which Victor Wembanyama played. So 2 losses in the regular season since Feb 1 for the Spurs. That is insane. One of the 2 losses, an overtime thriller to the Denver Nuggets where Nikola Jokic was doing Nikola Jokic things in that game, and he needed to hit like a series of miraculous clutch shots over Victor Wembanyama in order to pull that game out. The other game they lost since Feb 1, though, since that Victor Wembanyama played in, was to the Knicks, and the Knicks beat their ass in that game. It was a 124, I believe it was 124 to like 124. And let me find the exact. I have them all up. So let me. Well, of course, I've lost my place now, where I had those 3 matchups stored. Okay, so the game that I'm alluding to was an absolute beatdown, 114-89. That game came in March. And the Knicks just absolutely destroyed the Spurs in that game. Now, typically, regular season stuff doesn't necessarily matter when you get into the NBA playoffs, let alone the NBA Finals. Both of these teams, completely different teams now than they were then. But both of these teams were largely healthy in the 3 matchups that they played against one another. Pretty much all of the stars played in all of those 3 games. And the Knicks, their first matchup came with the Knicks winning 124-113. That was in the NBA Cup championship game in Las Vegas. And I can't help but feel a little eerie sense of parallels going on here to that game or that matchup in the NBA Cup. Because remember, that was when the Spurs met the Thunder in the semifinals. The Spurs beat the Thunder in a very tense physical matchup that was very emotionally invested by the Spurs to get it. And they come out of that only to then lose a deflating game, a letdown finals for the Spurs, where the Knicks beat them 124-113, an 11-point win by the New York Knicks after, again, they beat the Thunder. Again, parallels anybody? The Spurs come off of this highly physical, emotionally charged rock fight of a 7-game series against their ultimate foe, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and now waiting in the wings in the NBA Finals is the New York Knicks. Like, while the first couple in-season tournaments didn't mean a damn thing because the Lakers won the very first one, they popped the bubbly and doused themselves with it in the locker room, drank champagne out of the in-season cup tournament trophy, hoisted a trash banner, and then they got gentlemen swept in the first round of the playoffs. So a 4-1 ousting by the Denver Nuggets on the heels of the Lakers winning that first in-season NBA Cup. And then the second winner was the Milwaukee Bucks beating the Oklahoma City Thunder in the final game of the second cup. And the Bucks, I think they lost in the first round then after, if they even made the playoffs. They might not even made the playoffs. No, I think they did and lost in the first round. But now a rematch in the NBA Finals of the NBA Cup, of the in-season NBA Emirates Cup final from months ago. I believe that game was played in December. So it really did foreshadow things to come, obviously, this season in that game. But again, it was a game that the Knicks won. Then The second matchup, a 134-132 Spurs win, but still the Knicks were right in that game the whole way. And then the Knicks, as I said, the aforementioned final matchup, 114-89. So the Knicks were 2-1 head-to-head against the Spurs this regular season in the 3 regular season matchups. And the Knicks, look, they had a 123 offensive rating in those 3 games against the Spurs. It was the worst offensive rating yielded by the Spurs against any opponent that they faced all season long. And the Knicks are now averaging a 123 offensive rating, unbelievably enough, for the entire 2026 postseason run now. But again, as I mentioned, their defensive rating is also off the charts right now. And the Knicks, look, they match up extremely favorably against the San Antonio Spurs team. They have all of the requisite kind of perimeter defenders that give the Spurs guards issues, and they have big enough guys and physical enough guys and heavy from a weight standpoint enough guys to really give Victor Wembanyama some issues. I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is going to draw the primary defensive assignment. I think he'll be coming from the weak side and helping collapse and double team. I think they're going to try to go with OG Anunoby, who is undersized to say the least in that kind of a matchup, but he does have very long wings. I think he has like a 7'1" wingspan. So his reach exceeds what his standard height is. And he's muscly. He weighs probably a little bit more than Wemby, and he's physical. So I kind of like him as the principal defensive option on Wemby. And then look, Robinson is going to come off of the bench. I think he's going to play integral minutes in being a big body against Wembanyama too. And then of course Towns will be there in moments in isolation probably, but primarily I think they're going to want to try to keep him as the second guy coming over and in kind of collapse help right around the rim when and if Wembanyama gets there. So I think a really good matchup, honestly, for the Knicks. Brunson didn't shoot particularly well against the Spurs during the regular season, but he did score. I believe he averaged 28 points per game against them in the 3 games. So Brunson, obviously, look, you think on the surface the Spurs would have the same things to throw at Brunson that they had to throw at SGA in the last series, but Brunson, for whatever reason, just seems to do a little bit better against the kind of coverage that the Spurs throw than did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, I didn't even mention the Knicks, who are making like 44% of their threes or some ridiculous shit like that over the course of this postseason. So, and they're defending the 3-point line extraordinarily well. So I think, look, the Knicks are big underdogs by Vegas, as I mentioned, and I do believe that predominantly most of the basketball watching world will be going with the San Antonio Spurs. But there's a lot of me that wants to go with the New York Knicks. I think this, and I'll bring Gary in to talk about this as well, but I think this is where I'm at. Home court advantage is such an immense advantage in this series, in my estimation. I want to take the Knicks in 7, but I don't feel like I can because I don't think they can win a game 7 in San Antonio, which means that I would have to pick the Knicks in 6. And I just don't see, unless, again, I wish I had a time capsule or something. I could see who wins game 1. If the Knicks steal game 1, just like last round, I had the Thunder winning the series, but then when the Spurs won game 1, I completely flip-flopped. I think if the Knicks look, it's going to be rest versus rust. Are the Knicks rested and fresh and ready, and they haven't lost anything from what they put on display over the last month? Or are they a little rusty and the Spurs now have the momentum and the rhythm going since they've only had 3 days off since that game 7 win? So like if the Spurs defend home court and that line keeps going up, it opened at 3.5. The Spurs are now 5.5 point favorites. So like if the Knicks win game 1, all bets are up. I would swap my pick then to Knicks in 6, but I don't. Go ahead, Gary.
One thing for you to consider, absolutely, the Knicks will be rusty, but the Spurs are going to be drained. They've had 3 days to recover, but they're going but that series was draining. That's why
Sure.
Wemby was
Mentally and
celebrating like he
physically.
won the championship. So I think that actually probably gives the Knicks a slight edge in regard because the rust will wear off. Whereas if you're drained, that can make you tired for a good while longer than rust will last, I think.
Well, here's the issue, though. We saw the Knicks come off of a big layoff into the Eastern Conference Finals when they got the Cavs, and they were extraordinarily rusty in that game. And the Cavs were up 22 with 7.5 minutes to go in the fourth, but the Cavs calved. So like the Knicks got that win, and they're not going to look if they're playing like that through three quarters, the Spurs are going to win game one. And then I like the Spurs in the series. If someone came from the future right now in my live comment feed here and told me that the Knicks win game one, then I would take the Knicks in 6. But quite frankly, I just think that the Spurs are going to get game one. And then from that point on, the Spurs will be kind of ahead at every stage of the series. Game ones are just so ridiculously important. And nobody believes me when I say this. I talk about it all the time. But I really do believe the winner of tomorrow is going to win the series. And I just feel like the Spurs are going to – I think the Knicks are just going to be a little too rusty from this lengthy layoff. I think the Spurs, yes, are going to be mentally and physically exhausted from that last series. But I think they find a way. Home court advantage is going to be the differentiator in this one. I think my official pick, and I've been going back and forth all day long, but I think it gets into a game 7. And ultimately, as good as the Knicks are, as good as they're playing, as much as they have going their way in terms of this specific matchup, I just think that basketball ultimately can be a simple game. And Victor Wembanyama is the best player on the floor, even though he's only 22. And he has a damn good supporting cast surrounding him, and he will be at home with his fans surrounding him in a game 7 setting. And I just think the Spurs, that they find a way to will this over the finish line and get it done in game 7. I as much as I want to pick the Knicks, I don't think they can win a game 7 on the road. If the Knicks are going to win it, it sounds crazy, but it's going to be a shorter series. It's going to be like 5 or 6 if the Knicks are going to win it. And I just don't see that happening at this point. I think the Knicks are on a historic offensive run, and their defense looks great as well in this postseason, but they also haven't seen anything of the caliber of the Spurs over this run, and the Spurs defense is on a complete another level. So I think this series is just so tight, so difficult, and so close to call. I want to believe in the Knicks. I've been feeling the Knicks for a couple weeks now, that they were this team of destiny and that they were going to get it done. But now that I actually have to think like schematically or logistically, like how are they going to get to 4 wins? Like, I just don't know that they're going to be able to do it, especially with 4 of the 7 games being played in San Antonio. Basketball isn't played on neutral sites, but if this was a neutral site series, or if the Knicks had home court advantage, I would be all over the Knicks. But I think home court is really ultimately going to be a massive advantage for the Spurs in this one. So my official pick, which will be a complete and total flip-flop as early as tomorrow or Wednesday night, if the Knicks win game 1. My official pick, though, for now, Spurs in 7. All right, Gary, what say you? I think I laid it out pretty well. You're a lifelong Spurs fan. You've been not thinking that they're ahead of schedule. So you've been thinking that they're ahead of schedule this whole playoff run. But now, again, it's the time to make the official projection now for you. And before I turn it over to you guys, we got about 420 people in here. Welcome in. I think a pretty good turnout for a quiet night 2 days away from the series beginning. If you're on here, guys, make sure you hit that like button to send us out to the remaining parts of the YouTube sphere and get more viewers in here. And, of course, if you're not subscribed, please do that as well. All right, Gary, without any further ado, let's turn it over to the lifelong Spurs fan for your take.
Okay, and just to preface this, Jupiter Knight just asked the format. Probably a lot of people don't know the format, but it is 2-2-1-1-1.
Correct.
Not 2-3-2.
Right.
Okay. boy, oh boy, this I've been going over it for a couple of days as well. And I kind of see the Knicks a lot like the Timberwolves. Constructed very similar, I think. Long perimeter wing defenders.
Mm-hmm.
And if you remember, I was really on the fence. I really was not sure. And ultimately, I said if Anthony Edwards at 100%, I think the Wolves will edge them out in 7. He played. Who knows if he was at 100% or not. But the Spurs, I've never seen this before. The Spurs have learned and grown. They have accelerated the process at a rate I've never seen before. I believe they are now at where I thought they would be in 2028. And I did not think they were there going into the playoffs. I know this sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, but basketball's matchups. I really thought the Nuggets were going to beat the Wolves in round 1, but thanks to Jamal Murray laying an egg. And then I thought they were going to take the Spurs and beat them in 6 or 7. And that Wembanyama is going to take that experience from losing to Jokic, and it was going to propel him to train like a madman in the offseason and come back like Thanos next year. But Jokic didn't make it. Thanks to Jamal Murray again. If Aaron Gordon was healthy, the Nuggets would be on another level. But health is a thing. OKC, if they had AJ Mitchell, I hate to say it, and Jalen Williams, I think they would have edged the Spurs out in 7. I think the Spurs caught a break, not to take away from what they've done. But I think that's another thing. See, a lot of sports fans just look at the results and ignore the process. They look at W's and L's. Oh, yeah, we knew the Spurs are going to beat OKC. No, you didn't. Most of these fans did not watch the Spurs games throughout the regular season. I did. They just watched the OKC matchups. I watched nearly every game, all 4 quarters, and I watched my Spurs blow out teams in 1 quarter and then get blown out another quarter in the same game. Against the Brooklyn Nets, they had a 20-point lead, and then Brooklyn tied it in the 4th quarter. And that happened on a regular basis throughout the regular season. I'm like, this is not going to play in the playoffs against the Nuggets, Timberwolves, and especially not OKC. But somewhere towards the end of the season, they learned and grew and jumped. They grew in the first round against Portland when Wemby had the concussion. They got better by the end of that series. They even had the same lapses in that series. If you remember game 4, they were down 15 in the first half and then won the game by 15. And that's how they've been, hot and cold, not just game to game, but within the same game, hot and cold. And I'm saying they're not going to succeed like that in the playoffs. And then they lost the game 1 to Minnesota. And I was celebrating that loss because you learn more with the losses than you do with the wins. I said they just went to another level. And then they came back and routed Minnesota game 2. And then they won a close one in game 3. And then another growing moment for them is when the Naz Reid elbow. Wemby said, enough of this BS. I'm taking matters to my own hand. I'm going to be my own enforcer. And I'm going to teach guys, you're not going to cheat on me. Notice as soon as he did that, he got ejected. Then they came back and they blew them out for the rest of the series. Notice OKC didn't mess. Sure, Hartenstein pulled and pushed and pulled, but he never took cheap shots. Lou Dort never went for the knees of Wembanyama or anything like that. Like I was expecting them to do cheap shots like that and get away with. But Adam Silver made them play the game even towards the end. OKC was short. San Antonio did what I did not think they'd be able to do this year, which was to dethrone OKC. So automatically, initially, I'm like, okay, the Spurs have got this in the finals. But then, New York is like Minnesota, except they have a lot more heart. And they are playing with so much pride right now. 53 years since they won a championship. It's so hard to go against the Knicks. It's really hard. They routed the Spurs by 25 points at the Garden last time they played. They beat the Spurs in the Cup final. But every time I've gone against the Spurs. No, it's fine. No, I see you stifling your laughter. Gary, hurry up. You know what? I'm going to be quiet. Everyone wants to hear you talk. They're not interested in. They're all.
I want to hear stifling your laughter. Damn it, Gary. Who do you like?
I'll just say my pick and I'll be quiet. I did establish this before I came on. Like I didn't want you to influence me. All I know is this. Every series, the Spurs grow. They're going to grow in this series. Wembanyama throws a monkey wrench into everything. I have Spurs in 7. Same as you. I did not copy you. I promise you I did not copy you. That's what I can. And I'll tell you one other reason why. What have I always told you? Intangibles in these playoffs, intangibles are more important to me than just statistics. I don't trust Cat. You've heard me say that before. When people have praised Cat for his stats, I'm sorry, I don't trust him in the clutch. I think he's going to make some blunders that is going to significantly affect the Knicks and help the Spurs win. I don't trust Cat.
I think that ultimately, Karl Anthony Towns, statistically, from an analytics standpoint, has been the best player in the NBA playoffs to this point. But I think Brunson is obviously their best player, and he's the guy that would be like down the clutch, in clutch time. He's the one that's going to be making the plays or not. But I think, honestly, these games are going to be close, and the Knicks, Gary, haven't been in close games. Like they're not in clutch time setting really at all. And the Spurs have been playing against really good teams and operating. Yes, the games weren't that close, but they were in a clutch game in game 1. They were within, the Thunder were within 6 in game 7 a couple times, late. So I feel like they've been in closer games more recently than the Knicks have. And it's going to be unprecedented though, to be honest with you. I've been watching the NBA for a long ass time, and I should have looked this up before I came on. I can't remember, Gary, a team going from not making the playoffs to winning the championship.
Exactly.
Like with the same players.
Here's what I know everyone is like mocking me right now. Oh, Gary said they weren't going to win this year. Listen, I am all off. Hold on, I'm right and wrong. I said they're going to be a dynasty. And notice all the people mocking me now for saying they wouldn't beat OKC this year. They were the same ones mocking me last year when I said the Spurs were building a dynasty, and they were mocking me and laughing at me. But now they're deflecting and moving the goalposts. They're not even saying, well, Gary was right about the dynasty, but he was off on. Maybe I am off about the timing. You know what? No, I am off about the timing because I didn't think they're going to beat OKC. So even if they do lose to the Knicks and don't win the championship, as I said at the beginning of the year, I still never thought they'd beat OKC. Even if with the OKC injuries, I still would have picked OKC because of their depth and because FGA gets all the foul calls. If you had told me OKC is going to have 2 players down and they're going to make it a fair series, I would have said the Spurs have a chance. But I'm assuming the refs are going to give SGA all the foul calls. Why would I think otherwise? Because they've been doing that for 2 years. So I'm so glad for once Adam Silver saw the writing on the wall. I've been off of my timing. When Wemby came into the league as a rookie, I said, we're going to make the playoffs. I said, we're going to have a dynasty. We're going to make the playoffs. We'll probably lose in round 1 or 2, but we're going to make the playoffs with Wemby alone. They beat Kevin Durant Phoenix Suns. It was like game 5, I want to say. Wemby got a game-winning dunk and upset the Suns and had a major comeback. I said, we are going to the playoffs. Then we build a big 20-point lead against the Toronto Raptors the next game. And then after halftime, the Raptors went on a big run, came back and won that game. And the Spurs went on a 17-game losing streak and never looked back and were so dumpy the rest of the season. Then I'm hearing everyone say, you got to give Wemby time. You got to give Wemby time. So then season 2, I'm like, okay, we're going to make the playoffs this year. At least make the play-in. We'll at least make it the first round again. Then we had all the injuries with Wemby. They go out, don't even make the playoffs. I'm like, okay, Gary, just be realistic. Okay, they're going to have their dynasty, but you thought it's going to be sooner than it was. It's going to take a little more time. It's going to take another 2 to 3 years to get established. Then, boom, now they do everything this year that I thought they were on pace to do. My timing has been off, but in my defense, it's never been done before. But I thought that the Spurs are going to be better earlier on. And then I thought, okay, be real realistic, Gary. Give them a little more time. Now they've accelerated the process like I've never seen. None of us have ever seen. If someone in a chat can give me an example of a team who's done something like this, please let me know. But I'll say the Knicks are the better team. But I just think Wemby is going to throw a monkey wrench in their game plan, and they're going to grow. They're going to be better by the end of the series than they are going into it, because that's what they've done all 3 rounds thus far.
Well, during the regular season, the Spurs were 62-20 with an 8.4 net rating, 1 through 82. The Knicks 53-29 with a plus 6.4 net rating. So, I mean, the Spurs were, or whatever, they were a much better team than the Knicks in the regular season while playing a more difficult schedule than the Knicks. And they were without Wembanyama for like 16 or 17 games. So, I mean, the Spurs are definitely, look, they're an elite team. I mean, when you win 60 plus games and you have like an 8-9 kind of net rating, and their net rating was much better post All-Star break. Like, if you go and look at, because I like to break it down sometimes into 2 different kinds of seasons. Let me get. I think they were the second net rated. I think they were the first net rated team actually post All-Star break. But let me just search that out just to confirm. Post All-Star break. Sorry, I should have had that loaded already. The internet is. Am I still okay, Gary, from an internet standpoint? Because my internet.
Yeah, can I throw in something real quick to clarify my point? When I said the Knicks are a better team, what I mean is as a unit, they're a better, well-oiled machine. This is what you guys don't realize. The Spurs offense still has not found its identity. Their offense, sometimes it works well, but a lot of times it's still clunky. We still need a power forward. We're still in the process. This is my point. We're going to get better. So that's what I meant. The Knicks are a better, they're like a well-oiled machine, whereas the Spurs are still clunky at their offense. I just think the Spurs are going to figure it out.
Well, what's not figuring it out is my internet connection, Gary. I'm not quite sure why this queue is not loading for me. I'm just trying to find
what is it you're looking up? I'll search it.
Go to NBA.com and look for, never mind, it loaded finally at long last. The Spurs, okay, Gary, the Spurs, this is what I was looking for. Post All-Star break, 28 games played, 27 games for the Hornets, 26 for the Thunder, 26 for the Hawks, 28 so around 30. This is about a 30-game sample size that I'm talking about. In February 15th-ish was the All-Star break and went till mid-April. So like a 2-month span of time. The San Antonio Spurs had a net rating of 12.8 during that span of time. And to put that number into perspective, last year, the Oklahoma City Thunder set the all-time NBA record for net rating at like 12.7. And the Bulls, they broke the 72-10 Bulls 95-96 teams previous record, which was like 12.6. So post All-Star break, like the Spurs have been playing like on that kind of a level. So they have been elite. The Knicks over that span of time have only been the 8th net rated team in the NBA, 6.8. So like literally they're half the net rated team that the Spurs are post All-Star break. So the Knicks have been good all year, but like they really, to me, the Knicks really got great in the playoffs. The Spurs have been great for like 3.5 months now. So we'll see. But it is, as we've been talking about, Gary, it is always about matchups ultimately. And the Knicks do match up very favorably against the Spurs, but the Spurs do have a lot of elite players surrounding Victor Wembanyama. Like there's a lot of talk about, which annoys me because there's no talk about 22-year-old Kobe Bryant, who won a championship when he was 22. And he led the Lakers in scoring to get to the NBA Finals that year in 2001. He averaged like 31.1 points per game in the Western Conference playoffs that year in 2001. Led the Lakers in scoring, was the best player on the floor through 3 series against, I think it was Portland, San Antonio, and Sacramento, I want to say. 3 50-plus win teams. So I'm annoyed ultimately that Kobe's not thrown in this mix of like 22-year-olds to get their teams to the NBA Finals. All the conversation is about Wembanyama and LeBron James. Look, LeBron James played substantially easier competition when he was 22 to get to the NBA Finals than Victor Wembanyama has played this year. However, LeBron James, I can't not help but give LeBron this little bit of defense in this conversation when people talk about it. He had much less help than Wembanyama has. So like Wemby has played better teams, but Wemby also has much better players around him than LeBron had back in that age 22, which, look, I'm not saying LeBron has had more than enough help, ample in spades enough help throughout the course of his NBA career. But back in that age 22 season versus what Wemby has now, Wemby has a lot more. So I feel like that's not that good of a comparison. Ultimately, LeBron at 22 versus Wemby. Now, Wemby to me is also better than LeBron at 22. I think he's better offensively, way better defensively, in my opinion. But all I'm saying is, while the Spurs are young, inexperienced, and don't match up well against the Knicks, Wembanyama is still, even at 22, the best player in the series. I don't think anybody would really argue that. Like Jalen Brunson is second team All-NBA this year. He's been second team for 3 straight years. He's like the 9th or 10th best player in the NBA. Wembanyama is like already a top 3 player. You know, he was first team All-NBA, first team All-NBA defense, won defensive player of the year, finished 3rd in league MVP voting. Like he's already the best player in this series, even at 22. And he has enough around him, I think, which was proven out in the last round, that he absolutely can. Him just being the best is good enough. It's not like that Herculean of a lift. So I think coupled with home court advantage and the fact, look, people aren't necessarily talking about it much. Mitchell Robinson decided for whatever reason to get a surgery on his pinky finger in this layoff that they've had. He's not expected to miss time, but that might impact him in some ways, like on the glass and et cetera, and maybe banging with Wembanyama. Whereas, look, Fox and Harper were injured in the last series, but they're seemingly playing through it. They're going to be obviously available throughout this whole series. So everybody was just anticipating like that the Spurs were going to not be anywhere near as fresh or healthy, and the Knicks were just going to have the health advantage going into this. A huge key piece is going to be Robinson because of his size, his big body, and so forth. They're going to need him to play heavy minutes on Wembanyama. So now it's kind of up in the air with that. Why he got that surgery at this point, I don't know. And then now look, it looks Fox and Harper finished the last series off pretty well. So I feel like advantage there kind of goes to the Spurs. So adding all of it up, and I've been mulling this and pining away, trying to figure out how I was going to make my pick all day today. And I end up going Spurs in 7 when you shake it all out. And Gary, agrees with me, obviously. So we're both Spurs in 7. Going in, Gary, I was pretty confident. I wanted to take the Knicks. I was trying to find a way to justify or talk myself into the Knicks. And I was like, well, I'll probably just go Spurs ultimately so Gary and I can go against each other, because I was pretty sure you were going to pick the Knicks. But then we both kind of agree, and we've agreed on a lot of these series ultimately throughout the postseason. I think we agreed on mostly all of them when we were picking before the playoffs started. And now here we are. We're aligned. Either way, if it goes 7, I think we all win because it will be a great series. It's a great matchup. I think there's compelling matchups up and down the lineups. I don't think we can ask for much more in terms of a massive fan base and TV kind of market in New York that hasn't won in forever, that hasn't been there in forever. And then the new fresh face of the NBA and Victor Wembanyama. Like it's just a perfect matchup for the NBA. And if it's a longer series and we're talking that it goes 6 or 7, even better. So hopefully, Gary, we're right and we get a 7th game. That would be great fun to watch indeed. 46 minutes into the show, about 500 people in here. Thank you guys so much for showing up and being here on and off night, at least in terms of games. No games, still 2 days away now. But we're chatting about it here. We went a little bit longer in terms of when I generally like to get to the comments area. Gary, let's kick out a couple of these comments and then we'll pause the comments and we'll look at this bracket, which I've been talking about. Again, it was from Out of Pocket Variety Show. I will share the bracket and we can just kind of talk it over and make some picks on that front. Again, it's like a variant bracket, like the non-dynastic teams this century. So we can kind of talk a little NBA history over the last quarter of a century. But first, Gary, let's hit some of these questions and comments real quick before we get into that. So we'll hit some here, then we'll take a break, and then we'll dig into the bracket, and then we'll jump back in to the comments after that. And I'll be on as long as it takes to get through these comments. But first and foremost, let's start it off with DJang1498. Welcome into you, DJang. Seems like you mostly start the show on the comment section every time now, it seems like. Gary, what's the first of, I'm sure, several of these comments to come from D?
Skip and Stephen A said OKC lost because of injuries and SGA not having enough help. The excuses are rolling in. This is why I appreciate SKAP and Gary so much.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks to have key injuries. Like, Jokic won his first MVP 6 years ago, and in the first 2 years he won MVP, Jamal Murray didn't play a single playoff game. He was out for both postseasons. The second year of Jokic's MVP run, where he won his second MVP, he was missing not only Murray the whole postseason, but also Michael Porter Jr., so his top 2 best players out. So his best player out for the first 2, then his 2 best players out for the second year. Then, of course, Jamal Murray was completely physically hindered and hurt with several lower body injuries in that 2024 run where they lost to the Timberwolves in 7. Murray was terrible. And then last year, they took the Thunder 7, but we found out after the series, of course, that Russell Westbrook had a broken hand on his shooting hand. Michael Porter Jr. couldn't lift his shooting arm over his head, over his shoulder, basically. He's just dragging his arm up and down the floor. And then Aaron Gordon, who is immensely important to that team, popped his hamstring in Game 6. So had those things not happened, Jokic would be looking, if Jokic had pristine injury issues or positive variance or whatever, he'd have at least 2, if not 3 rings right now. So, like, yeah, it sucks to have injuries. And Shea had injuries for sure in this series, but they still had a remarkably deep team, and they still had more than enough, in my estimation, to win this. Look, they had an all-NBA third-team center who finished second in Defensive Player of the Year, and Hartenstein, who's like a top-line center as well, or big. You could play those guys at the same point. You still had elite guard play surrounding outside of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, Cason Wallace, did you see what he did in the fourth quarter of Game 7? Alex Caruso, did you see what he did off the bench all series long? So I don't want to hear the excuses. Honestly, I just don't. Ultimately, I think the Thunder We'll see what they do. I think they might look at making some kind of deals this summer. I think from a business standpoint, they're likely to decline the team option on either Lou Dort or Isaiah Hartenstein, maybe both. We're talking 18 mil next year for Dort, 28 million next year for Hartenstein. It's a lot of cheddar right there. Now, as the max deals kick in for Chet and for Jalen Williams. So you've got Jalen Williams, Chet, and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that trio combining for about 160 million right off the bat on the books. So I feel like 18 mil for Lou Dort is a little steep. He's an elite defender. He's probably one of the top 7 or 8 defenders in the NBA. If he was on his own team, for sure, he would get that kind of recognition. But he's only scoring like 8 or 9 points per game. I feel like you got other elite defenders on that team on the perimeter that could do better offensively than Dort, quite frankly. So probably 18 mil is going to look a little steep for them. And then look, Hartenstein, he doesn't even start half the games. Like he's pretty much matchup dependent if they're going to go with the 2 bigs or not. There's some games he plays like 17, 18 minutes, $28.5 million a year. I just don't know. I feel like one or both of those guys might be declined on the option. And then look, they might want to get them back. Dort would be gone. Maybe they'll try their best to hope that Hartenstein, the market shrivels on him, and then they go and get him back maybe on some kind of a discount. But I don't see that happening either. I think if they decline the options, they'll lose them both. And that's not saying that they're going to replace them with anything significant. So they're going to be losing major pieces now as all these contracts start hitting. And I don't know. I feel like that might have been OKC's last real good look at getting this over the finish line. Because look, if they lose Hartenstein, that's going to hurt them a lot against the Nuggets, quite frankly. Because Hartenstein and Holmgren, the pairing, they like to go 2 bigs against the Nuggets with Jokic. So, I mean, maybe they don't even get to the Spurs next time. I don't know. We'll see. A lot to be decided this summer, but I will obviously be covering that very closely through the end of June and into July. And those player options will need to be, or the team options will need to be decided, I think, by the last day in June. So we're going to find out these things pretty quickly. It's going to be a pretty intriguing June and July from an off the court standpoint.
And the draft follows the finals. It's on the 23rd. They're not like the NFL waiting 3 months. They're only waiting 3 days.
Right, because the game 7, if necessary, is on June 20th. So
June 19th.
June 19th. So yeah, it's going to be, and the draft comes quickly after that. So yeah, it will be an interesting offseason for sure. We got J-Mos in next. How will the 2026 NBA Finals affect Luna's legacy? That's a good question. Luna, my best friend and my program director, obviously, my main editor, and really she writes half of my videos as well. She's sleeping very gently here on her little bed. Typically she's on my lap, but when we're in the office area, she's usually slumbering in her little cushy bed right next to me. The NBA Finals will have no impact on Luna's legacy. She's already the GOAT in my estimation. Next, D is back in. D Jiang, thank you. Welcome back. Like I said, I'm sure there will be several more comments coming from D here tonight. Gary, what's this next one from D say?
Still riding the high of the Spurs beating OKC. Seeing so many videos of young kids imitate flopping makes me appreciate this even more. Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we're at a point where like Oklahoma City has become bad for basketball, in my opinion. Like it's bad for the NBA because everybody hates them. And it's just bad for overall for basketball because yes, generally people emulate what's on top or what's working or what's winning or whatever, right? So that's why like everybody started shooting threes all game long when Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors, the Splash Brothers and everything were in their heyday. And now, you know, yes, if grifting and becoming a foul merchant and trying to just flop your way onto the free throw line every time, if that becomes the preferred tactic or method of playing basketball, then we're cooked. Because if every team starts doing that it makes for a really unwatchable product. So I feel like, as Wembanyama said, after they beat them in the in-season tournament, the NBA Cup in Vegas, he said, I'm paraphrasing now, but I believe he said something along the lines of, it feels so great to be part of something so beautiful and ethical, is what he said about the Spurs when they beat the unethical flop merchants, Oklahoma City, back, 6 months ago now at this point. So yes, the Spurs, we are all indebted to them, and we owe them a great bit of gratitude moving forward forever for putting an end maybe to this whole little run by the Thunder. We'll see what answer Sam Presti has for it in the offseason. But like I said, you can only do so much when you're capped out. And if Chet isn't going to get any better, and this is how Chet's going to play when he plays the Spurs all the time, that's a big problem when you have that dude making like $50 million a year. So, and Jalen Williams missed 50 games. He played like 30 some games this year. So like that could become a potential issue as well. When you have 50 million wrapped up in a guy that's not available. So we'll see. I mean, we'll see what direction the Thunder are going to go. Either a non-panic move, they just hold and just assume that if fresh and if no injuries next year, that they're the best team again. I don't know. I've seen that assumption go wrong many times in many different sports. So we'll see. What those last, is this three out of 4 from D? We'll see what the summer holds for us in terms of what the Thunder's next move will be. All right. Yes. D is in again D has just sent 5 or 6 of these in rapid form here. So Gary, go ahead and read D's most recent comment here.
LeBron will be watching the Spurs Knicks series thinking, if Wemby wins, I might have to take my talents to San Antonio for more rings. Well, if the Knicks win, he'll be thinking the same thing about the Knicks.
I don't think he can do it. Again, I don't think.
No, he won't.
As a guy known as like a mercenary, ring chasing coattail rider already, I feel like, why would you do this to yourself at the end of your career? Go to one of the 2 NBA champions or even 2 finalists. I don't think you can go to either team. I think honestly, it's between the Cavs and the Lakers. And if there was a dark horse team that could vie for his services with the cap availability and how good they are and the fact that they look pretty bad when they went out, it would be the Pistons to me. So that would be the one team that I think he might be able to kind of swing for the fences with. But other than that, I think it's the Cavs or it's the Lakers. And then we'll see. I'm sure the Cavs are trying to get a package. The Cavs are probably trying to figure out, how do we dump James Harden, make a trade for Giannis, and bring LeBron in. So it would be Giannis and Mitchell and LeBron. That's probably what the Cavs right now are trying to figure out as we speak. All right, D is in, like I said, yet again. Gary, go ahead and read D's 5th comment already for us.
Think the Spurs backcourt will make Brunson look human like they did with SGA? 25.5, 7.8 assists on 48.7% versus Cavs. What will his numbers be in the finals? I assume with Stephon Castle guarding him, it's going to make life a lot tougher than when James Harden is guarding him.
Yeah, I still think he's going to get his numbers, though. He still averaged 26, 27 in the 3 matchups against him in the regular season. Not efficiently. He was shooting around 40% in those 3 matchups. So right around what SGA was shooting against them last game in 7 games. He shot 41%, 40.9% to be precise from the field for SGA. So I don't think Brunson is going to get a clean 26 or 27, but I think he'll get there on the string. Even if he shoots 20 sometimes a game to get it, I think he'll get there because he is their principal offensive driver. Yes, they've got guys, making shots left and right now in that lineup. All of them basically shooting career highs. And Brunson is obviously a facilitator as well. You see their 8 assists last series. So he's going to try to get other guys involved and get them their shots, of course. But ultimately, Brunson will have the ball in his hands down if they get up against the shot clock or whatever down the stretch in clutch time in the fourth. He will be the primary guy, the primary shot taker. And I think he's probably still going to be around 25, 26 points per game in this next series. Now, how efficiently those points come probably will determine the outcome of the series to some degree. But yes, Gary, I would assume you're right that it's going to be Castle on him. And they certainly won't have as easy of a time hunting matchups in clutch time like they did, because like you said, they basically hunted Harden through most of the fourth quarters or whenever they needed to get a basket. And like that guy just isn't on the Spurs. Like there is nobody to exploit or take advantage of defensively on that roster. All right, we've got Mason PYFZQ is in next. What's up, Mason? Welcome into you. Thanks for being here. The Statue of Liberty is going to the bottom of the Hudson if we win. Let's go Knicks. Mason, you might not be that wrong on that. You might not be off. Like the Knicks, look, and I've been saying this, it's a weird phenomenon, win or lose, when a major market area, like a big city, the closer they get to a title, whether they win or lose, the city gets destroyed. So it's probably going to happen either way. Like the Statue of Liberty might go to the bottom of the Hudson either way, but the probability certainly is higher with a Knicks win. I don't know who I picked the Spurs in 7. I could see it going Knicks in 6. I like both teams a lot. I really don't have a dog in the fight. I'll be very happy for either team that wins, quite frankly. So this is just a perfect series for me, a perfect matchup where I could just enjoy good basketball ultimately. All right, we got Rand Moss 45 is up next. What's up, Rand? Welcome into you. Thanks for being here as always. I appreciate it. Gary, what is the question or comment from Rand tonight?
Sup, SKAP and LeGary. SKAP, I remember last year's live streams, you predicted a OKC dynasty. Has Wemby changed that, or do you think OKC gets back to a dynasty?
I think OKC can still win some titles. I think the amount that they can win is now lesser than what I expected. Like I thought we would be talking 4 or 5 rings for the Thunder. Now I think it's more like 2 or 3. Because maybe just like one more, which 2 certainly does not constitute a dynasty, and 3 scattered over like 5 or 6 years to me isn't even really a dynasty. So I think no. And it's not just Wembanyama, I think, that's changed my mind. It's the ascension and the maturation of the guys around him. Like everything that the Spurs have done, which is just all the right moves. Like, I mean, I go through this all the time. I think De'Aaron Fox was the 5th or 6th overall pick in his draft. Dylan Harper was the 2nd overall pick in his draft. Stephon Castle was the 4th overall pick in his draft. Then, of course, Victor Wembanyama, the 1st overall pick in his draft. Like, they've got five guys that are elite, like upper-end lottery selections that have all been hits. Like, they're all turning out. And even the guys like Champagnie and Devin Vassell, like, those guys are just all working. Like, it's just all has come together. Like, when I look at the regular season production of this team, like 25 for Victor Wembanyama, you got 19 from Fox, 14 from Vassell, 17 from Castle, 11 from Champagnie, 13 from Keldon Johnson, 6th man of the year, by the way, a 12 from Dylan Harper, and these guys are all only going to be getting better. Like, I mean, Stephon Castle, he's only 21 years old. Like, he's going to be a perennial all-NBA caliber guy, maybe on both sides of the ball. So I feel like, yes, if you can get a team with 4 or 5, like, top 5 picks that are all hits and a historic all-time, like, once-in-a-generation freak mutant alien that is, like, elite on both ends, then yes, like, that's going to disrupt the dynasty that I saw brewing in Oklahoma City. Yes, I think so, Rand. All right, the Incorruptible is that Gary in the avatar with a the process shirt on? The Incorruptible is in next. What's up, Incorruptible? Welcome to you. Thanks for being here as always. And shout out to your La Process moderator Gary avatar. I guess maybe I'll read this one since it's probably targeted to Gary. The Process Embiid isn't allowed to cheer for his Spurs He said 2028. Knicks win if their defense shows. Spurs win if their team shows. Spurs in 6. I don't know. I don't know that I see the Knicks going down in Gotham City. I don't know if I see with that if they're facing elimination down 3-2 at home in game 6 in Gotham. I don't know that the Spurs have the juice to go in there and close them out in that atmosphere. We'll see. That's why I honestly think it probably will be 3-2 going to New York. And I think the Knicks will win that game, stave off elimination, then go and lose ultimately in game 7 in San Antonio. All right, D is back in yet again. Welcome into you, D, again, or I should say welcome back into you. All-Stars with under 5 points in a game 7. Chris Bosh, don't, you're going to ignite the LeBron guys on here. Chris Bosh, 4 points, 2013 versus Spurs. Ray Allen, 4 points, 2008 versus the Cavs. So there you go. LeBron got a little help in that one. Jason Kidd, an all-star with 0 points in game 7 in 2004. And then Holmgren with 4 points in game 7 2 nights ago. That is an all-time dog of a performance by Chet Holmgren. It's just going to follow him for the rest of his career, ultimately. I mean, I don't know how at 7'2" and an all-NBA caliber performer, you don't take a single shot from the first quarter on and score only 4 points and get only 4 rebounds. That is a loser performance if ever I've heard or seen of one. All right, we've got SKAP Jr., my unofficial and fraudulent alleged bastard child. SKAP Jr. is in. Help my dad to 100K. He's a better one than LaFraud. Well, thank you, fake son. I appreciate that, SKAP Jr. Thank you for hustling for me out here. Yes, please help SKAP Sr. Here get to 100K. I sure would like to get there sooner than later. I feel like as close as I can get by the end of the maybe like by mid-July, that's pretty much where it's going to be till the following NBA season, even though I'll be on all year. I'll be on during the off season. I'll be here through August and September, but I feel like I will have very little traction on the subscriber front in August and September. So whatever I get by like around mid-July is what I'll have when we restart things in October. So yes, listen to my fake illegitimate son here, SKAP Jr., and help Pops get to 100K. All right, we've got Lou Cap 81 is in next. Lou, welcome in. Thank you for your generous donation. I appreciate you. And thanks for being here and providing us a comment to further the discussion. Gary, what is the question or comment from Lou?
For easiest MVP asks, don't we have to talk about Bill Russell? Unquestionably an all-time defensive grade and winning player, but he had a bevy of Hall of Famers and never had to carry the offensive load.
Certainly, Lou, certainly. But like I say, I talk typically about my lifetime of seeing players. So that's basically 94, 95-ish, which would be, 32 years. And the easiest MVP ask I've ever seen in my lifetime is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But yes, if you want to extend back to the the older, the 80s, the 70s, the 60s, sure, I'd say Bill Russell, the Celtics era there where they won 11 and 13 years, and he was like the third or fourth leading scorer every year on those teams. He would obviously be in contention, as would Magic Johnson, quite frankly, on those stacked and loaded Showtime's 80s Lakers teams. I think he's got the easiest ask of all, maybe Bill Russell. But those are probably the top two guys. And then hell, maybe I'd throw LeBron in because he won 2 MVPs on that Miami super team. So I'd probably throw LeBron in on that Miami super team, to be honest with you. Not the first ones again that he got on the Cavs, but the second 2 he got, his third and fourth one when he's playing in Miami. All right, we've got Isaac LYK is up next. What's up? Welcome back to you, Isaac. Appreciate you. I'm a believer. Joker, another ring for sure. I don't know. I'm not a believer because Look, I didn't mention it off the top, but it bears mentioning. Today was a crazy freaking day in the NFL. Crazy. Like the NFL has seized. I won't spend too long on this since this isn't. This is an NBA Finals preview live, and I want to get to that bracket, and we are racking up these comments now, but the best defensive player on earth, Myles Garrett, was traded from the Cleveland Browns. This guy's won two out of the last 3 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He is now traveling to LA to play on the Rams, who to me was the best team in the NFL last year. They were number 1 in DVOA last year in the regular season, were the LA Rams, slightly ahead of the Seattle Seahawks, and those two were ahead of the pack substantially. So the Rams, of course, the Seahawks won the Super Bowl only because the Rams choked down the stretch, ceded home field advantage to the Seahawks, and then lost a tight game on the road in the postseason. But to me, the Rams were the best team last year. They host the Super Bowl this year, and they now trade to acquire the best defensive player on the planet. It will be the first time since the merger point in 1969-70 in the NFL that the MVP, the reigning MVP, will be paired with the reigning Defensive Player of the Year. And do you know, what did you know? What freaking bum loser owns the LA Rams? Well, it would be Stan Kroenke and the same bum loser group that owns the Denver Nuggets. Why is this bum Stan Kroenke, who, by the way, is worth several $billion dollars, and his wife's even richer than he is, Ann Walton, the heiress to the Walmart fortune, why are they making it rain for the Rams? And all I'm hearing about right now in the offseason for the Nuggets is cost-saving moves. How they sure would, oh golly, we sure would like to keep Peyton Watson, but we're not sure if we can bullshit. You've got his bird rights. He's a restricted free agent. You can go, you can penetrate the aprons however far and however deep you want to match him and retain him against any offer that comes your way. But no, we sure would like to keep him, but we don't know. Maybe we'll have to trade Cam Johnson to make the move. Fuck off. I don't like to drop the F-bomb on my channel or on my live chat, but seriously, F you, Stan Kroenke, and your loser ass nepotism scrub son, Josh Kroenke, who's like the de facto GM on that garbage can of a team, the Denver Nuggets. I don't know, Isaac. You've got a lot more hope and faith in them than I do. If I was Nikola Jokic and I was hearing about these money-saving roster moves, I'd be like, here, let me save you $280 million. You could stuff your 4-year extension up your asshole, and I will be declining my player option swiftly next summer and getting the hell out of this bum clown show of a franchise. That's what I would do if I was the great Nikola Jokic, but he's got way too much class and loyalty for that, so he's likely going to sign that 4-year, $280 million contract this year, and then watch as they trade away Cam Johnson. At least have the good graces to trade away Christian Brown. Cam Johnson was like the 3rd best player on that team last year. He had the 2nd best plus minus. He was the only guy that showed up in game 6. Nikola Jokic and him were it in game 6, the elimination game. So yeah, I'm not sitting there and putting up with that if I was Jokic getting rid of Cam. The only guys I want back on that team are Peyton Watson and Cam Johnson. So find a way, damn it, to keep both of them. Isaac, like I said, you've got a lot more hope than I do, because if there is either not a lot of moves made this offseason, which is another thing I'm hearing, not a lot's going to get done there. They're going to run it back without Cam Johnson probably. If that's it, and they got to go in with that against the West with an upcoming, a rising and ascending Spurs and a retooled or at least a healthier Oklahoma City Thunder, I mean, they got no hopes. No hopes, Isaac. They're probably going to win 55 to 60 games, which will be less than both the Spurs and the Thunder, which means they'll be the 3 seed, which means, well, they're going to have to probably play some bullshit matchup in the first round, probably the Lakers or the Timberwolves or something. And the Lakers are going to be much better too. So they might lose in the first round again. Or if they somehow scrap through the first round, unlike this year, they will then play either the Spurs or the Thunder, whichever team is the 2 seed. So if the Nuggets are the 3 next year, they'll be playing the Thunder or the Spurs. And then if they get by them, then they'll play the other team, whichever one they didn't play in the second round. So they got no hope of navigating that kind of a field with what I'm hearing is going to happen in the offseason. Hopefully I'm wrong, and they've got trades lined up now for Jamal Murray and Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown, and they're going to bring in a bunch of young, athletic, defensive specimens to pair with Peyton Watson and Cam Johnson and Jokic. If that's the case, I'm saying there's a chance, Isaac. But again, I wouldn't hold my breath if I were you. Go ahead, Gary.
Well, why don't we stick a pin in the comments and get to that bracket now, and then we'll come back to the rest of the super chats.
Let's hit one more, Gary. We'll do one more.
Okay.
We'll do one.
Okay.
We'll do D's. Actually, 2. I see 2 because I've got my grandson is also in, and it's a short one. So we'll do the next 2, and then we will hop to that bracket. Go ahead and read D's latest one, Gary, since I just kind of went off on the bum-ass Nuggets.
Scap and Gary, I really think the Wolves and OKC series gave Wemby experience with physicality. He is not the same player as when they faced in the season. And that was my main point.
For sure. And with young players, not just him, but all the other young players, they're all growing and maturing. Like every game, they're all growing. Like, how much better do you think Dylan Harper is now? He's 20. How much better do you think he is now than when they played the first couple times or whatever, like 6 months ago? 6 months ago. Like, he's much better. So I think, yes, the Spurs, just when I factor all of that stuff in, I really do believe the Spurs are going to find a way to get it over the hump. And Gary, let me just read Scap Jr., the Scap's grandson. So we heard from my fake illegitimate bastard son already. Now we're going to hear from his illegitimate son, Scap Jr., Scap's grandson. Looking spiffy tonight, Grandpappy. Go Spurs. Well, thank you, Scap Jr. I appreciate it. And thank all of you guys. As we take a quick pause, we still have comments lined up, which we're going to get to. But I've been talking with the Out of Pocket Variety Show, and he sent me this variant bracket that he did some work on. So I want to get to it. But before I pop it up, I just want to thank you guys. Gary, this is a crazy night. I mean, we don't have a huge number here, but we have 510 in here. When I first came on, it was like 200 for a while. And then, so we are actually gaining like several hundred people as we've been on. So many thanks to all of you guys. Please do make sure you hit that like button to let YouTube know that they should be pushing it to more people, and we'll get more viewers on. Thank you guys very much. And of course, hit that subscribe button, please. All right, let me find that media asset. I'm going to kick it up. So let me just walk you through what this bracket is. Out of Pocket Variety Show. Hopefully he is on. I sent him an email and told him I would be popping the bracket up and we were going to talk about it. He sent me a bracket a couple weeks ago, which was like what teams he thought were some of the best teams over the last several years that weren't like dynastic teams. So like he took out like the Kobe teams. I thought he took the Duncan teams out, but I think I see some Spurs teams in there. And then I believe he removed Steph teams as well. So no Golden State teams in here either. So this, Gary, will just be a walk down memory lane for some of us, I'm sure, to just look at some of the teams that the best teams that weren't over the last quarter of a century. So as you can see here, Gary, the number 1 seeds on both sides of the bracket, we've got the Celtics from 2023-24, and then the Thunder from 2024-2025. So like the matchups, Gary, just take a little peek-see at those. I don't think that one side, the left bracket, like I don't think that's all that challenging for me to pick. What do you like? Do you see anything that sticks out or jumps out at you when you look over that bracket?
I'm baffled. Why is the 2005-6 Pistons team there instead of the one that won a champion? I thought this was supposed to be champions that were not dynasties.
That's a good question.
No,
and I see some other things in there too that are kind of similar to that. I mean, I don't know if should we infer, Gary, should we infer that maybe he was talking about the championship Pistons team in 04 that beat the Lakers? Like, should we infer that's what he meant about that Pistons team?
To be honest with you, I would take that team, and there's a strong chance I think they may be the one to win this. Just off the top of my head, that 04 Pistons team.
I agree. I agree with you. I think the Thunder easily beat the Rockets. I think. I think I would go with the Raptors then in that that championship Kawhi team, that 1 year Kawhi rental team. I think I would take them over the 01-02 Kings.
No, I would take the Kings. The Kings would murder that team. Yeah, they murdered. I mean, yeah, they barely lost to the when Shaq and Kobe were in their primes. They took them to 7 games. They stressed the Lakers out like 2-3 straight years. Yeah, the Raptors. I hate minimizing it, but they won because not just KD got hurt, but if Klay Thompson had not got injured, the Warriors would have rallied back and won that series. They didn't need KD.
I mean, you're right. You're not wrong there. I think, but Kawhi though is in that run. Kawhi was like peak Kawhi, who was like, I mean, probably the closest thing to Kobe and Jordan that we've ever seen. I would say, like when he's completely healthy. Agree or disagree? Kawhi Leonard, two-way player, 30-point per game scoring potential. I think he averaged 30 points per game on that playoff run, and he's a defensive player of the year on the other end when he's in his peak. Like, I feel like that guy with some of those other components that were around him that year, like, I feel like that, I don't know. That's a tough one to call. I feel like that might be like the closest one to call, like in this bracket set.
If
like,
not for health issues ailing him, he would have a case for that number 10 spot all time. That is how freaking good Kawhi Leonard is when he's healthy.
So I think I would go with Thunder, but ultimately I'm taking the Thunder over whoever wins that anyway. So I've got like last year's Thunder coming out of that anyway. Ooh. And then at the bottom end of that, I think the Nuggets would beat the Bulls, but then like you said, I think the Pistons, that championship caliber Pistons team, or even the year after when they had Ben Wallace still, and they took the Spurs 7. I still think either one of those teams, like either year, I think they are not only beating the Nuggets, I think they are then beating the Thunder from last year. I don't know. I don't know, Gary. What do you think? Let's make it the 2004 Pistons team that beat the Lakers versus last year's Thunder team. What do you think about that match?
Do we need to take this game by game? Because I need to know, because I haven't even looked at the whole thing yet. Are we just taking it? Can you put it back up? I wanted to finish looking at the right side because this is the first time I've ever seen this. So I'm looking at all the teams we have here. Okay, he's got the Spurs on there. They were, I want to say the Spurs were a dynasty, but a light dynasty. I mean, 20-year run where they had 5 championships, but different times. But I'm not sure why he decided that particular team opposed to some of the others. How do you want to go about this? Do you want to just take it
I'm just picking that left side first. Like, I just went through that whole left side.
Okay, so, now I'll go through it. I'm going to say Thunder over the Rockets, Kings over the Raptors, Nuggets over the Bulls, and we're going to go with the 04 Pistons. I'm going to say definitely Pistons over that Bucks. Now, do we need to jump to the right or we need to finish the left?
Yeah, I would say, who do you like to come out of that left side? I have it as the Thunder versus the Pistons, but that's a crazy matchup to me.
I've got to say, this is why it's so hard, because that 23 Nuggets team, when they had Jamal Murray hitting his shots with Jokic, they looked damn unbeatable, but they didn't really play any like real formidable opponents
or defense. They played good teams, I thought, good players, but no great defenses. Think about that Pistons defense.
Right. That's what I'm getting at. Can you keep it up so I can, because I'm
think about
visual.
Tayshaun Prince playing Jamal Murray.
Right. Exactly. I'm probably going. But see, that 0-2 Kings team was that was a deep team.
They're not.
You're talking about OKC.
No way.
Oh yeah, I think they would beat the Thunder.
No way.
The damn Pacers took them to 7.
No way.
The Pacers last year took that. And you've got it. Let's imagine that the refs are calling this fair. I'm sorry, dude. The Kings. The Pacers took that Thunder team to 7. That Kings team took the damn Kobe Lakers to 7. Thunder would lose to that 0-2 Kings team.
Just Kobe and Shaq, though. That's the thing. Like that, the Kings team was better. Like the Kings had a better team by far than the Lakers. Like team, 1 through 10.
Exactly. It's like what I said earlier about Knicks being a well-oiled machine against this Spurs team. Right. That's what I agree, which is why I think they would beat that Thunder team last year. The Thunder got taken 7 games twice. So let's compare the Halliburton Pacers to the Kobe Shaq Lakers.
Well, you can't. I mean, you can't. The Thunder weren't trying in half of that series. They were just giving games away.
Well, then that would open it up even more for the.
But here's the thing. I think the Thunder play up or down to their level of opponents. Yes, the Nuggets took them 7, Gary. They did last year, but in the games that they really needed. When the Thunder really needed to win a game against the Nuggets, they obliterated them. Like they really needed to win game 2, right? Like last year, the Nuggets won game 1. They should have never got it. The Thunder were up like 9 with like 3 minutes to go, totally choked. Aaron Gordon hit a buzzer beating 3. But then the Thunder really needed to win game 2. 149-106 was the final in that. Then in game 5, I thought the Thunder really needed to win, and the Nuggets were controlling that game all game long. But then in the fourth quarter, when the Thunder really turned it on, 34-19. So that score was only 112-105 final. But in the fourth quarter, they crushed them because they really turned it on. And then, of course, game 7, when the Thunder, it was a winner take all, 125-93. So, yes, that was a 7-game series. Yes. But when the Thunder really tried to win games, they won the quarters by 20, 30 points per quarter when they really tried. So I feel like the same thing was true in the Pacers series. They just were playing with their food. And I think the better opponent of the Kings would bring out a better effort from the jump for the Thunder. So I'm taking the Thunder. But ultimately, Gary, look, I don't think it matters because I think I would take the 2004 Pistons to win that side. I think the Pistons would beat either. If you say the Kings, I say the Thunder. I think the 04 Pistons beat either.
Yeah, because that 04 Pistons obliterated the Lakers. So for me, I'm going back over it again because I'm still getting familiar with this. Thunder, Kings, Nuggets, Pistons. Then I'm going to take the Kings over the Thunder. And then I'm going to take the Pistons over the Nuggets. Now, are we going all the way with this, or are we going to jump to the right?
I've taken the Pistons into the left champion.
I honestly think I would take Pistons over the Kings. I think I'd take the Pistons as well. That team was just so dynamic defensively. One of the best all-time defensive teams.
For sure. And just to, if we're calling it, look, if we're calling it the 2004 NBA playoffs, that year that the Pistons won, they gave up 80 points per game. Think that over. Think over what I just said. The Pistons played in 23 games in the NBA playoffs that year and gave up 80 points per game. That is insane. It's just an insane, the lineup, and they didn't have a lot of scoring. In the playoffs, Richard Hamilton led them in scoring 21 points per game. Their second leading scorer was Chauncey Billups with 16 points per game. But they had the defenders on that team, like Rip Hamilton, Rasheed Wallace, Tayshaun Prince. And then, of course, it was anchored by Ben Wallace, who was undersized, honestly. He's only 6'9", 240. But, like, he is the most hellacious defender I think I've ever seen. I understand that you throw in Dikembe Mutombo. I understand that you throw in, obviously, Bill Russell. And I believe that also Akeem Olajuwon's in the mix. Like, I think Akeem Olajuwon's one of the best defenders I've seen too. But in terms of the best, if I had to pick the best defensive player I've ever seen, no disrespect to Wemby, it might become Wemby soon. But for right now, it's probably still Ben Wallace. And he was only 6'9", 240, but that dude was an animal. An animal. So I just think, like, that defense was so nasty. And, like, even if we look at the next year in the next playoff run, Gary, they lost in the NBA Finals that next year, but they lost to the San Antonio Spurs in 7. So, like, that was a highly contested series as well. And then still they gave up 85 points per game in that postseason run. And the Spurs, who won Game 7, Gary, against the Pistons, 81-74.
74. Yep, I remember.
81-74 is just wild. So I got the Pistons in that out of that left bracket side. Now that brings us to the right side, Gary. And I got the 1 seed out in the first round. I got the 2010-2011 Mavericks that beat the LeBron Miami super team. I got them upending the number 1 seeded Celtics in the first game.
Yeah, that's terrible. That is the worst number 1 seed I've ever seen. The Celtics, that team was, I'm sorry, that's one of the worst champions I've ever seen. I'm sorry, I'm not giving any props.
So we both have the Mavericks out of there.
Yeah.
And then
definitely.
I honestly, Gary, I like that 2011-2012 Thunder team, the team that lost to the Miami Heat. I like them over that 2004-2005 Spurs iteration, I think.
Can you keep the bracket up? Because I haven't even.
The Spurs,
I need to go through all. Yeah, you got the 08 Celtics team. That's the team that should be up there. And you've got the 04 Pacers. That's the one that lost in the Eastern Conference Finals where Tayshaun Prince blocked that shot on Reggie Miller. That was insane. I was so frustrated because I loved Reggie Miller in the Pacers. But I would put, the 98 Pacers were really good. The 2000 Pacers were really good. I don't know if this 2004 Pacers were quite as good, but I guess you got to put the 08 Celtics. Then we've got the 09, 06 Heat. That's a toss-up, really, because I don't know. I didn't feel like either one of them were like that strong of champions. Well, the Magic weren't even champions.
Right.
I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I put the Celtics through the Pacers and the Magic and Heat. And I would go back and I've got the Mavericks, Spurs. Oh, man, this is a tough one, but I guess I'm going to have to. I honestly, how I feel about this. I feel like that 2012 Thunder team.
Yes.
I said it. That was the next big dynasty before they traded to Harden. Because what is Westbrook and Harden both known for making a bunch of boneheaded plays and choking in the clutch? But when they played together as they were coming in the league together, they offset one another and they actually played well together. It's like they had not yet grown into those mistakes. And Russell Westbrook at that time seemed to be a much stronger team player. It seemed to be after Harden left that Russell started to become more of a ball hog, more and more season by season, it seemed, until he became just unplayable. For as far as playing quality basketball, sure, he had his monstrous dunks, but I gotta say that I love that 2012 OKC Thunder team. They were going to rout the Heat before the officials took over. So yeah, I may have to say the Thunder. Yeah, because they beat the 2012 Spurs, and I think that 2012 Spurs team may have been even better than the 05.
Agreed.
So Mavericks, Thunder, and Celtics. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this one's easy. I think I've got the Thunder then beating the Mavericks.
Yeah, I would
So
say.
I've got the Thunder in to the semis, and I've got them playing that 07-08 Celtics team. Gary, that 07-08 Celtics team was a juggernaut, I thought. I think they won like 67 games. They were like a historically great team in their own right. 66. They were 66-16. They had over a 10 point per game net differential, a 9.3 SRS rating, which was better by like 3 points than anybody in the NBA that year. They played the Lakers in the finals and destroyed them in game 6 in the closeout game, 131-92. And that was the anything is possible game by KG. I think I got that team, Gary, the Celtics of 2007, 2008, beating the 2011-2012 Thunder to get into my final game against the Detroit Pistons Ben Wallace team. What do you think about that?
That is really tough, but I think I might go with the Thunder.
Okay.
Because you remember how the Hawks took the Celtics to 7 in the first round, and then didn't another team take them to 7 games? I was like, why are the Celtics not routing people?
They went 7 against Atlanta. They then went 7 against Cleveland. And then they went 6 against the Pistons. So they lost a ton of games, actually.
Right.
They lost a ton of games. They nearly went 7 in all 3 series, and then the Lakers took 2 off them. So, I mean, not that dominant in the playoffs. You're right.
Yeah, I think I'm in this. Of course, it's hard to say, but I think I would take the Thunder.
Okay, so let's just say, Gary, we've got either I think I might have the Celtics, you have the Thunder, and we both have the Pistons from the other side. Who would you like in your ultimate championship game? Would you like KD, Harden, and young Harden, Westbrook, or would you like that beast defensive juggernaut team of the Pistons?
I just see Tayshaun Prince slowing KD down, not stopping him. But if you remember that the video I made showing all the highlights of Durant scoring all over LeBron, yeah, Tayshaun's going to slow him down. LeBron was not much problem for KD.
Right. Sure.
But remember, KD was 23. He was and it won like 3. By that time he was 23, he was working on his 4th scoring title.
Right.
The guy was just a juggernaut of a scorer, one of the best all-time scorers. But not only did the Pistons, sure, they weren't going to compete with them offensively, but defensively, and defense wins championships. I got to imagine Tayshaun Prince, the dinosaur with the big wings, or the pterodactyl. That's what I used to call Tayshaun Prince, the pterodactyl. I think he would have slowed KD. I think the other guys would have got up, and Harden and Westbrook, those guys would have slowed up. I think I got to go with the Pistons to edge it. But I think OKC could have, if they'd stayed together and not broken up, I think they could have beaten that Pistons team a year or 2 later.
Sure.
But them being as young as they were, I think the Pistons were a little more mature and would have edged them out defensively. And then what the heck? I mean, Serge Ibaka is a beast, but man, oh man, he's going to pale in comparison to Ben Wallace. And then let's not forget about Rasheed Wallace.
Right.
As well. Yeah. So that's a defensive juggernaut.
That's why everybody talks about like that was a huge choke by the Lakers. Like, I mean, Karl Malone got hurt in the course of I think he got hurt in game 2. So they had Slava Medvedenko starting at power forward the rest of the way. And they just could not do anything against that defense. It was Kobe, Shaq, and literally nothing else. And Gary, I agree with you. The Pistons, to me, out of that bracket, I have the Pistons as the best team. I think the Pistons would win that whole bracket, that hypothetical bracket. But I thought it was just a fun variant thing to look at. Out of Pocket Variety Show. Thank you very much. Hopefully you were on here, and I don't know. You guys can chime in as well if you would like to. Anybody wants to chime in and talk about that. It seems like we have now jumped up. We have a bunch of other comments now in the queue now. So that was a good stopping point, I think, midway. Now we got a bunch more lined up. So Gary, let's hop back in to the comments, and we begin with the incorruptible and the Gary avatar. Go ahead, Gary.
Never mind. I thought that there was another one, but yeah, this is the correct one. You want me to go ahead and read it?
I'll read it since it's you. Gary, we love you. The chat replaced last year's Pacers gaslighting with La Process in 28 gaslighting. Don't let these haters get to you. Thank you, the incorruptible. Appreciate the kind words for Gary, and love the Gary avatar as well. All right, SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne. What's up, bro? Gary, can you read that at all? I can't. I have trouble seeing this. Can you read his avatar first before you read his comment?
Suffering from SKAP pass. SKAP pass is what it looks like.
I think he's trying to say SKAP ass. I think that's what he's probably trying to say.
Okay, yeah. Call 1-800-CLUTCH-RIGHT. As in Nick Wright.
Oh.
Right with a W.
All right. Thanks, SKAP Extra Strong Cologne. And the actual comment is, where does Jalen Brunson rank among the best small men in NBA history, specifically in the modern era? I don't know. I mean, he's not that small. He's like 6'2". So, I mean, who's like the best small? I mean, Allen Iverson is.
He's not small. He's bulky.
Yeah, I mean, he's 6'2". Allen Iverson was like, I don't know what Allen Iverson was listed at. I saw him. I stood next to Allen Iverson on a basketball court once, or near him, a little off to the side.
And you're like same height.
He was like 5'11", Allen Iverson. I'm 6'2". I'm like 6'2", 6'3". He was markedly smaller than me. Wow. So I don't know what he was what his official height and weight list was. That dude was not 6 feet. So to me, AI is like the quintessential small guard guy, like, or small player guy. Like, he was just so crazy good. If we're looking at like small guy, I mean, I don't know, what would modern era? To me, modern era is post 1980. But I have a feeling SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne is meaning like the 2000s. Like, who's the best small guys in the 2000s? So like, that would be AI for sure. And then I don't know, like guys that are let's say 6'2" or under. So if we were to qualify Brunson as counting as a small guy, like what would like the best 6'2" or under guys in the 2000s look like? I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think the guy that could have been really talked about here in this segment could have been Ja Morant, who I think is like 6'2". And that dude was an absolute acrobat, like a high-level flyer that was, I think he was second team All-NBA in like his second or third year, but he's just completely derailed his own career at this point. So I feel like he's like out of the equation right now, but I want to see his official height and weight list. He is officially listed at 6'2", 174. So Ja Morant is a little guy. I think he's the same height as Brunson, but he's much frailer and like smaller looking. So yeah, I'm trying to see, like, Allen Iverson, by the way, was listed at 6 foot. So I checked out. Look, Chris Paul is another one that comes to mind. He's listed at 6 foot, and he played in this era. So I'd say
Isaiah Thomas.
Look, is Sid on the chat right now? Sid, do you hear me? Chris Paul is an elite small guy. I'm giving Chris Paul his flowers right now. I mean, that's
Maxey is 6'2".
Okay,
Maxey
is a stud. I would say right now, probably Brunson and Maxey are the two best small guys in the NBA right now. Like, they're the best guy. I think, what was Maxey? Was he second team or third team this year? Third team, I think.
I am not even sure. I can double check that.
Let's see here. I know he made one. I think he was third team.
Yeah.
NBA third team. So he was third team and Brunson second team. Man, Maxey, those are some good ass numbers for third team. I mean, 28 and 7. Dude averaged 28 points per game and 6.6 assists while leading the NBA in minutes played, 38 minutes per game, and shooting 46% from the field. For third team, I don't know, man. I feel like Maxey should have been second team this year. But I guess, look, Brunson's navigated his team to the NBA Finals. Brunson is probably the best 6'2" or under player on earth right now. Scaps Extra Strong Cologne. Probably Chris Paul would be the best 2000s other than AI. AI is number one to me. And then Chris Paul would be next in terms of sub 6'2" guy, like 6'2" or less. But good question, Scaps Extra Strong Cologne. Will N8664 is up next. What's up, Will? Thank you very much. Welcome to the show. Welcome in, I should say, as you're here all the time. I think both Spurs and Knicks fans can all agree that everyone is glad that OKC is gone and that this will be an enjoyable, and let me add, ethical final series. Yes, everybody, the entire basketball watching world can all unanimously come together, shake hands, and agree that F the Thunder and good riddance to bad rubbish. Thank you very much, San Antonio, for a job well done. Like, we are all indebted to the San Antonio Spurs for taking out the garbage for us in this postseason. All right, D is back in yet again. Double bigs assignment, New York, Luke and Wemby.
Against New York.
Yeah, against New York. I don't know. I don't think so. They don't like playing double. The Spurs just don't like to do it. They play, watching a lot of them this postseason. I didn't watch that much of them in the regular season, but in the playoffs, I've watched every game, and they really don't play. Kornet is like a true backup. Like they don't really go double big. I think they like to put a full assortment of shooters flanking Wembanyama and like have like 4 kind of smaller players around him. And Kornet really only comes in non-Wemby minutes by and large. So I don't think so. Look, if they didn't do it, they didn't really run double bigs when they had Hartenstein and Chet on the floor. I doubt they'll run double bigs against the Knicks. So probably D, the answer would be no in my estimation. All right, Siak Tua is in next. Lamar greater than SGA. At least Jackson is fun to watch and root for. I don't know. I don't know. Look, SGA is a fraud 2-time MVP. Lamar Jackson is a fraud 2-time MVP. But SGA at least found a way to one NBA championship. Sure, he capitalized on injuries and stuff, but at least he's got a ring, and they're much harder to come by in my estimation. Well, I don't know. I guess they're harder to come by in the NFL, quite frankly, even though you only have to win 4 games as opposed to 16. But if you have the best team in the NBA, typically you do win. Whereas Lamar had the best team several times, I thought, in the NFL, and he hasn't won. But that happens a lot in the NFL. So I don't know. They're kind of on the same tier to me. Siak Tua. I dislike both players. I really, Lamar Jackson is like the most overrated football player of all time in my estimation right now. To have 2 league MVPs and 3 playoff wins going into like, I think this is like his 9th year coming up. 9th year. Hang on. I'm going to get to the bottom of this. Yes, this is his 9th NFL season. 9th. And he started his freshman, his rookie year. He played 16 games and started 7 of them. So he started the back end of them starting in his rookie year. So he has been a starter every year since his rookie season for 8 seasons. He has 3 total playoff wins. 3 playoff wins and 2 MVPs in 8 seasons. That is hot, steamy ass. Like, this guy had better get to a Super Bowl, at least get to one. And But how does it look like his game's going to age? This guy is now, he's going to be 29 this season, which for quarterbacks, that's nothing. Like, we see Drew Brees play till he's 42. We see Aaron Rodgers now playing in his 42 season. We saw Brady play till he's 44. But Lamar Jackson doesn't strike me as a guy whose game is going to age very gracefully. Like, his game is almost entirely predicated on his athleticism. So the fact that, like, this guy might have 2 or 3 more years tops in elite athletic range. So, like, he better, the next 2 or 3 years, he better make a Super Bowl or 2, or else he's going to be one of the biggest frauds in league history with his bum ass and those 2 MVPs, which was very nearly 3 league MVPs, which would have been an absolute atrocity. Josh Allen barely edged him out. Barely. It was like the tightest, other than last year. Last year was the tightest MVP race in like 30 years when Matt Stafford beat out Drake. I'm drawing a blank. Drake May. Sorry. Yeah. But before that Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson one was tight, and they split MVP. Actually, it was first team to Lamar and MVP to Allen. So when Lamar was announced first team All-Pro, he jumped to like a 77% favorite to win the league MVP, even though Josh Allen was favorited all year. But the MVP and first team always goes hand in hand. Always. The only time it broke, other than Lamar Jackson losing to Josh Allen, was in like 1987. So it was that close to Lamar having as many MVPs as Thomas Patrick Edward Brady Jr. That's how close it was. That close for three playoff wins. So I don't know, Seahawk Tua. That's a question we'll take at best. I think Lamar is not greater than SGA, but that's just me. All right, Will N is in next. Thank you, Will, for a very generous donation. I appreciate it. Gary, can you read this question or comment that accompanies this donation by Will?
People forgot about OG, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, etc. It's like casuals forget that the Knicks have that next man up mentality. You try to lock up one player, the next one steps up.
Agreed. Like I said, if all 7 of these games were being played in the bubble on the Orlando Disney campus, I would take the Knicks. If the Knicks had 4 of the 7 games at home, I would take the Knicks. But to me, that extra home game for the Spurs is going to be the difference. And I've got the Spurs in 7. I think it's an extraordinarily closely matched series. And if the Knicks win game 1, I will be on here Wednesday night backpedaling and flip-flopping and taking the Knicks in 6. So I think it is that close. And I'm with you, Will. This isn't going to be like a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination for the San Antonio Spurs. We've got Fernali in next. What's up, Fernali? Welcome into you. Thank you for your generous donation as well. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thanks for the comment. Actually, we've got back-to-back coming from Fernali. So, Gary, go ahead. Read the first of the next 2 from him.
I would like to point out that if LeBron took this team Wemby is taken to the finals, they would make it as big as the 07 team. He dragged them. Wemby's first 3 years greater than LeBalco's first 3.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think Wembanyama is better at the age of 22. He's better than LeBron. I think LeBron was maybe, LeBron had the advanced numbers for sure. But I think even though he averaged more points and probably actually he shot a higher percentage too than Wemby and did it more effectively, more efficiently than Wemby. But I think Wembanyama's as a 3-level scorer, he's a more adept, versatile, complete scorer than LeBron James was at 22. He's a better rebounder and he's a substantially better defender. So I think I for sure give Wembanyama the check head-to-head, 22-22 for LeBron. But hey, I give other players the check. Like Duncan was a better player at 22 than LeBron. Kobe was a better player at 22 than LeBron. So like, it's not like LeBron was like this super force at 22. Like, I don't believe that at all. I'm just saying, and his run was pathetic. If he had to play if he had to play an above 500 team in the first 2 rounds, he might have lost in the first 2 rounds in 07. And then he had a great series against the Pistons, taking nothing away from him. And then he had a lousy series against the Spurs. So, you know, I don't think that run in 07 is altogether that impressive. But I'm just saying his team was better than people give it credit for. But as even though it was better than people give it credit for, it wasn't as good as this Spurs supporting cast. I mean, Stephon Castle is going to be a star in the NBA, a star. Like he's going to be a two-way star for like the next decade plus. And I mean, Dylan Harper is a stud as well. Like I am so impressed with that kid's playoff run. And they've got other good pieces around other than those two guys as well. So, I mean, De'Aaron Fox, I love that guy. I'm a big fan of his. So, and you know, we barely even mention him at this point. So I think this Spurs team is definitely better than that 07 Cavs supporting cast. All right, for
now you see why I was spazzing out last year when there was rumors about trading Castle and the draft picks for Giannis.
For sure,
because
but I think the Thunder might do it now, Gary.
Yeah, I honestly I was spazzing out like that because I was afraid they were actually going to pull the trigger on that because there was all this speculation was going to happen, and that's why I was shouting like I was. I was so frustrated that our potential dynasty was going to be broken up before it even had a chance to grow and develop into what we're seeing now.
And Gary, if they do make that trade if it's Giannis to the Thunder, which I still think is not
possible.
It's possible. It's not, I would say it's not probable, but possible. They would probably have to include Chet Holmgren on the table for that. So like they would be sending away all defensive team, first team, defensive player of the year, runner up, third team all NBA. Like that's what they would be sacrificing. And I already said, I think they might decline the team option with Hartenstein. So who's even going to be the center then at that point? They go from having two, like the best center kind of combo in the league to maybe not having either. That would be crazy, a crazy panic swing, I think, for the Thunder. Go ahead, Gary.
I saw some a video saying that just what you said, that's what most of us agree. They would have to include Chet. But I saw another guy make up another package that just included Jalen Williams and some other guys. And the Thunder would keep Chet and have Giannis and I believe Hartenstein. And they said this would be one of the most formidable defenses we've ever seen. And that they would just basically the guys could play light minutes in a regular season. Mm-hmm. And then they'd be able to roll out against the Spurs and play heavy minutes and dominate in the playoffs. So basically they're going to be playing chess, basically doing this for the Spurs. What do you think?
And Gary, I'll say this, like, I don't know what Giannis has left from a health standpoint.
Right.
Because he has been very durable until the last 2 or 3 years. And now he hasn't been available for any of these postseason runs. But assuming health for Giannis, he is like one of the few Victor Wembanyama answers that there is in the NBA. Like that dude would go into the teeth of him in the paint. Like Gary, the Thunder they didn't even look at the rim. Like whenever Wemby was in there, like they were just so afraid to even go under. Giannis will not have that fear of Victor Wembanyama.
Right.
Like he will go right into the teeth of Wembanyama with his speed, explosion, athleticism, and power. Like he would be like a guy that would mitigate the Wembanyama advantage, which is the big thing that the Thunder couldn't solve. Like that would help them solve that issue. So I feel like that enhances Giannis's value to them. So I think they're going to consider it, but it's got to happen quickly because I think that they look, the ownership group of Milwaukee been saying we want it sorted out by the draft. So if the draft is in 23 days, that means we would have to know within 23 days. So like that, they're on the clock. It's going to be
maybe
tight.
On draft night. The Bucks would get like the 12th and the 17th pick. They would get Jalen or Chet and probably another prospect and probably some other picks. Milwaukee, if you keep Giannis, then he's going to die off there, and then you're going to be in the lottery for the next decade. So you might as well deal him while you can.
Yeah. No, I agree. All right, Gary, let's get Fernali in for this second one of two. Go ahead and give us this second one in a row. Thank you, Fernali, by the way.
Not sure if you've answered this before. What's the best live sporting event you've ever been to? Witnessed any all-time sports moments in person? I know your answer to this, but do you have a second one also in addition?
Well, I've been to a lot of big football games too. I guess for now, I've been to. Look, I was at the 1999 or 2000 the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh when it was Brady and the Patriots were there before they were Brady and the before they won. That was the year they won their first Super Bowl. So they beat the Raiders with the tuck rule the week before. Then they rolled into the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh. I was at that game with my dad.
That was 2000, 2001.
Okay, 2001. Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. It was the year. Yes, it was the 9/11. Yeah, it was the September 11th year. So I was at that game. The three games I would probably say, which two of the games weren't very spectacular on the surface, except for what they became ultimately. So I'm a big look. My favorite player, my favorite athlete of all time is Kobe Bryant. One of my 3 or 4 other favorite athletes is Tom Brady. I was in 2000 and I guess it was 3. I think it was 3, maybe 04. Michael Jordan had pre-announced, it was his second year on the Wizards. He had pre-announced that was to be his last year in the NBA. And they did not qualify for the playoffs. So that meant that their final game, the Wizards' final game that year in the regular season, was in fact going to be Michael Jordan's last game that he was ever going to play in the NBA. So since I was a young lad in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and the last game, regular season game, was going to be in Philadelphia, I decided, why not? Let me pay a couple hunch and hop in the car and take a road trip and see Michael Jeffrey Jordan's last game. I walked in from the parking lot with Michael Wilbon, chatting him up for about 10, 15 minutes on our walk. So that was a very cool experience. I then in April, I believe it was April 13th of 2016. This would be the answer to your question, Fernali. And the one that Gary knows I'm going to say is the one. I was at Kobe Bean Bryant's career finale in Staples Center when he dropped 60 points on the Utah Jazz. And I was actually at the game in New Orleans like 4 days before, which was his third to last game ever. And I was with my mom at the time, who is a big basketball fan and was a big Kobe fan as well. We drove actually from PA to New Orleans because my mom doesn't fly. And we watched the Lakers and Kobe play in his third to last game ever in New Orleans. And we were like right near pretty close to the court. And then I flew out. We drove back. Then I flew to LA to watch Kobe's last game like 4 or 5 days later in Staples. One of the craziest, just a crazy atmosphere, just an absolute crazy moment to be a part of. And actually, speaking of Michael Wilbon, who I walked to Jordan's last game with, I saw him on first, or pardon the interruption, whichever one. Is it pardon the interrupt PTI? That's the one that he does, right? Yeah, yes. I saw him from my hotel room the next day talking about it, and he said he had been to every sporting event, Super Bowls, World Series, Olympics. He said that was the most like charged game he's ever been to or he's ever seen. Like with the atmosphere and everything, like the last quarter, it was insane, electric, because the Lakers were down big that game and Kobe had just a massive fourth quarter, including hitting the game-winning shot. So I was part of that. I was there for that game. That would be the answer to the question for Nolly. But then I was also at Tom Brady's last game because I lived near Tampa, and he came back, remember, for that ill-fated last year where he was like had the divorce issue going on. They never really got clicking, and they went into the playoffs not looking so good. They were playing at home against the Dallas Cowboys. And I got the sense that they were probably going to lose that game and that was going to be it for Brady. And so I had to get there and I had to be there. And so I was there. And so it was his last game. So I have the very unique honor of saying I was physically present at Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and Tom Brady's last games they ever played in the professional sport of their respective professional sports. How many human beings on walking planet Earth could make that claim? Probably not too many, I would think. Great question. Sorry I spent so much time on that, but a really good question. And I like to talk about that, how I've been at all three of those. Rand Moss 45 is up next. I definitely agreed with that OKC dynasty prediction. Thankfully, the Spurs came out of nowhere to hopefully end that. I can't stand to see beta OKC win. Yes, Rand. And I saw a Thunder team that possessed a lot of elite defensive components already. They really only had one main weakness, which was as good as Chet Holmgren was at rim protection and like weak side help, he couldn't handle big bodied guys and he couldn't really take the main, I would say, the brunt of the physicality down low for like 38, 39, 40 minutes. So they needed a big bruising, like brute type guy to help carry the load. So when they got Isaiah Hartenstein in free agency, and the same year they traded Josh Giddey, the same summer, they traded Josh Giddey away for Alex Caruso, who was the number one point of attack defender in the NBA that season. And he was first team All NBA defense the year before and second team All NBA defense that season. So like getting those two dudes that year, like really uplifted them to the next level to me, to the stratosphere, where I was like, these guys have like 6 or 7 like all NBA caliber defenders on one team. Like they're going to be almost impossible to beat. So like that's when I made my dynasty prediction like 2 years ago, and they immediately won that year. And then look, it didn't go their way this season. We'll see again what they do. We've been talking a lot about what moves or decisions they might make in the summer. We'll see, but I think they probably are going to be making some business decisions coming up soon in terms of some of the options that they're going to be declining. And then I think they might be making maybe taking a big swing at a trade, possibly. We'll see very shortly, though, if they will or won't. All right, James Cav 81 is up next. What's up, James? I know you're a Knick fan. Go ahead, Gary. Take this one away for me.
Brunson has been doubted his entire basketball life, and all he does is win. I hope they all rise to the challenge. Go Knicks. Was he on that Villanova team that hit the buzzer beater against my Tar Heels in 2016?
Well, he did go to Nova, Gary. So I think probably he was.
That was so crazy. Marcus Page hits that big shot, and then Villanova just storms down the court and hits the game-winning shot in the buzzer. I was about to cry.
Yes, he was, Gary. Listen to this lineup.
My goodness.
Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges, and Dante DiVincenzo. That's quite a roster right there on the collegiate level. 3 like high-end, like upper echelon NBA players. And then, yeah, that was a crazy game. That buzzer beater, it's probably one of the best buzzer beating moments in college basketball history, probably.
Yeah, because you're a Duke fan. That's why.
And I like Jay Wright, too. Classy guy. All right, we've got AJ O'Henry, 447, is up next. What's up, AJ? Welcome into you. SKAP, you know who David Beckham is? You got to start being a Man United fan, and I'm willing to debate you on how overrated Matt Stafford is all time. I'll tell you, Matt Stafford, AJ. First of all, yes, I know who David Beckham is. Secondly, I'm not a big overseas football fan, as us Americans call it, soccer. I don't know. Matt Stafford has amassed quite the resume, AJ. Let me see here. All-time NFL passing yards. I'm willing to guess that he is top 10 going into this season. I'd guess like 6 or 7. He's 6th. 64,516 yards. Aaron Rodgers is 66,000 but they're both playing this year. So likely Aaron Rodgers will keep that gap. But look, Stafford, he flirted with retirement last year. He might, if they win the Super Bowl this year, he probably goes out on top and retires. Otherwise, he will be top 5 all time in passing yards. He will pass Aaron Rodgers ultimately. And then right now so ahead of him is Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. That's it that are ahead of him in passing yards. In terms of passing touchdowns, he is 7th all time, 423. Phillip Rivers has 425. He will, of course, pass Phillip Rivers next season, and then he's got a while to go before he would get Brett Favre. But we're talking about Matt Stafford. If he retires at the end of this year with a Super Bowl win, he will be 6th all-time in passing yards, 6th all-time in passing touchdowns. He will have a league MVP and 2 Super Bowl rings if they win this year. I don't know, AJ O'Henry. That smells. Look, as Terrell Owens once famously said when hinting at Jeff Garcia's sexuality, if it looks like a rat and smells like a rat, it's a rat. That looks a lot like and smells a lot like a top 10 all-time quarterback resume, AJ. So therefore, I feel like it is a top 10 quarterback resume. Now, I'm inferring the Super Bowl win this year, but I think they should have won last year. And with the trade acquisition of Myles Garrett today, and with the fact that game is hosted in LA this season, the Super Bowl, I think they win the Super Bowl this year. Matt Stafford walks it off with a career-defining moment in the Super Bowl. If let's say he gets the Super Bowl MVP too there, 2 Super Bowls, a Super Bowl MVP, a league MVP, top 6 in yards, top 6 in touchdowns. Bro, AJ, I don't know what your case would be. Like, I think that's a top 10 quarterback resume in my estimation. I think Drew Brees is probably in everybody's top 10. Would you not agree, AJ, that Drew Brees is a top 10 all-time quarterback? I think Matt Stafford would eclipse Drew Brees' resume, in my opinion. Drew Brees has 1 Super Bowl, no league MVPs. I think he only made the playoffs like 7 times. So it's not like I know Matt Stafford was ass in Detroit, but like Drew Brees wasn't so much better in New Orleans in terms of the totality of his career. So I feel like Drew Brees would probably be getting inched out, who is in the bottom tier of my top 10 right now for Matt Stafford. That's my take on it though, AJ. We've got Jay Savage, 8295 is in next. What's up, Jay? I think the 2023-2024 Celtics. Wow, Gary. So he's got my namesake Jay here has a team that we eliminated in our bracket in the first round. He has them going all the way and taking it. Impressive. I don't know. I don't see it, Jay. I feel like, oh, look who we have in next, actually. The Out of Pocket Variety Show is going to talk to us about his choice for the 05-06 Pistons choice. Okay, good. Let's hear from but Jay, I don't know. I don't think they might win a few games, but I don't see any way that team doesn't gag against upper echelon counterparts. Go ahead, Gary.
I wanted to throw in real quick before we transition into this. Josh Hart was also on that Villanova team.
Wow.
You had Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, and Brunson on that 2016 team. And in 2018, they won again. Josh Hart wasn't there, but Bridges and Brunson. And I only say that because I think it's relevant to how good they're playing together in New York as well. So just something to keep in mind as a side note.
Yep.
Okay, you want me to read the next one? Let's get to the next comment here.
Out of Pocket Variety Show, who sent us that bracket that we dissected, is going to explain his selection of the 05-06 Pistons. Go ahead, Gary.
All right. I'll give context to everything in the chat, but about the 05-06 Pistons choice, better regular season record than the 03 and 04, and the entire starting 5 made the all-star team besides Tayon Prince, right? Tayon Prince. Salute, fellas. That's Tayshaun Prince, correct?
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking 05-06, right, Gary?
That's what he is, yeah. But we like the 04.
64-18 regular season record that year, Gary. They had the best record in the NBA that season. But they lost in 6 games that year to the Miami Heat, who ultimately went on to beat the Dallas Mavericks then in the finals. That was Dwayne Wade's crazy run that year when they beat. But yeah, the Pistons had the best record in the NBA that year. And they did still have Ben Wallace. So it wasn't until the next season, I guess, that Wallace went to Chicago. But Chauncey Billups was All-NBA second team that year. Ben Wallace was All-NBA second team and Defensive Player of the Year 1 and defensive first team. So Ben Wallace that year, this is how good Ben Wallace was. That dude averaged 7 points per game that year. That's it. And he was still second team All-NBA. That's how good that guy's defense is. He was second team All-NBA, All Defense 1, Defensive Player of the Year 1, All-Star. And yeah, Chauncey Billups made the All-Star team. Hamilton made the All-Star team. Wallace made the All-Star team. Ben Wallace and Rasheed Wallace made the All-Star team. And then Tayshaun Prince, while he did not make an All-Star selection, was All-NBA Defensive Team 2 that year. So, I mean, those are fair points, Out of Pocket Variety Show. It's just they didn't win. They didn't even get to the finals that year. The year they beat the Lakers the one year, then they went 7 in the finals with the Spurs the next year. And then this year specifically that we're talking about, they only made it 6 in the Eastern Conference Finals against that Shaq and Dwayne Wade led team. So I probably would have included the championship team instead, but a fair point, Out of Pocket Variety Show. All right. Stefan Piscano is in next. Stefan, what's up, my friend? Welcome in. Always a pleasure to see you in my videos, in the comment section, in the lives. You are a great friend to me and to this show. So, damn it, I appreciate the hell out of you and for your ongoing, of course, generous donations like this one right here. Stefan, shout out to you and shout out to Vacation Wealth Partners, as always. A proud friend of the show, Vacation Wealth Partners. Gary, what is the question or comment? It looks like he wants to talk about our little bracket as well. Go ahead, Gary.
You need to read it to me. He's talking to me.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me read Stefan's comment here. 05 Spurs should have a higher seed than 06 Heat. Otherwise, awesome bracket variety show. Gary, having chatted with you a bit, you are a passionate guy, but you seem very demure on your Spurs. Should your name actually be Stoic, Gary? Gary, he's questioning the level of your zeal and passion for your San Antonio Spurs. Now, I know that's mainly because you were too far in the other direction in your younger days. You were too much of a diehard zealot of a fan that would then basically affect your well-being. So now you've gone in the opposite direction, more of a Zen approach to things, more of a live and let live, and let's see what happens with time. Am I getting that kind of right? What do you think?
I'm not quite sure. I just know that I try to always be objective. Okay, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I love the Cowboys, but their fan base are so effing annoying. Every year, we're going to Super Bowl this year. No, you're not. Why would you go to the Super Bowl? I got into an argument with this other Cowboys fan the first year we choked against the 49ers a few years ago. Oh, yeah, we drew the 49ers. We had a pretty good record in the regular season. First round, we drew the 49ers, and I'm like, oh, damn it, we're going to lose. And he's like, oh, no, you got to have faith. You got to believe. I'm like, no, I don't. We're not better than San Francisco. Shout out to Philip Fry, who's a huge Niners fan and fights with me about the Cowboys all the time. Nothing to fight with. Lately, we got nothing to say. So does that somehow make me less of a Cowboys fan? No, I'm realistic. I try to be realistic about all my teams. So I try to be that way about the Spurs as well. I'm very, very optimistic about the future. I did not feel that they were going to be able to overcome the depth of OKC and the favorable whistle of OKC. They had a couple key injuries, and then all of a sudden, Adam Silver says to the rest, you know what? We're going to go ahead and call the game fairly. Now we see they beat OKC. Now they're going against the Knicks, who are a more mature team, but I believe the Spurs are growing. I think they're going to find a way to win this, even though the Knicks are more of a well-oiled machine as a team overall. I don't think I'm necessarily, honestly, I think I'm an objective and rational Spurs fan. That's how I feel. People can poke fun. They can ridicule me. The only thing I got emotional about was because I really did think they were going to gut the roster to get Giannis last year. And that just sent in waves of anxiety all over me, because this is exactly what I wanted to see, was what this team could develop into. So I'm so happy they stayed the course, and I'm looking forward to the future.
So, and I think, look, I pick against the Nuggets all the time. I never believe in the Nuggets. I think they're going to lose basically every series they play, but I am still a very crazy and angry and passionate Nuggets fan. I don't know if anybody remembers my ridiculous meltdown I had at the end of game 1 of the regular season this year.
I do. Yeah.
When the Nuggets lost to the Golden State Warriors, it was game 1, and I had an absolute meltdown and called them out because I was so disgusted and enraged with the way they choked that game away down the stretch. And but I still love mainly because I love Jokic, but I still root for the Nuggets. I just think realistically they stink, and they are not, to me, look, I don't think they may look like the best team in the NBA from time to time, but to me, I think they're like the 5th or 6th best roster in the Western Conference. But like, that's just the reality of it. I still hope that they win. I just don't think that they will. All right, go ahead, Gary.
Can I have 1 second to say something? Sure. Shout out to Listen, I Am Goated Too. Okay. He says, I'm a fake ass fan. This is Jay's live stream, so I'm going to be respectful. But you take your ass over to my channel, Gary828 Sports Talk. I will hold a live stream over there sometime this week. You come in there. I will bring your ass on, and I will effing bury you. I am not a fake ass fan, and I will bury anyone who says that I'm a fake ass Spurs fan. Any of you want to talk that shit, bring it over on my channel, and guess what? There will be no censor. There will be no moving on to the next super chat. I will go all the way, and I will bury you all. There will be no more, let me be respectful, of Jay's live stream over there. I have a feeling you don't have the kahunas to go over there, because everyone who talks shit to me in here never has the audacity to actually go against me when I can actually respond in a proper way. Sorry to disrupt the stream, but I'm not going to be disrespected against these cowards.
I can't find the one that you're talking. I've been looking. All I can find is I agree the Nuggets suck. So the right. I Am Goated and I are on the same page of the Nuggets sucking. But okay. There you go. I Am Goated. Gauntlet thrown down from Gary to join him over on his channel sometime this week. All right, Fernali is back in. Welcome back into you, Fernali. Thank you very much for yet another generous donation. I appreciate you. Gary, what is the question or comment from Fernali?
Is LeBron easier to crown GOAT because his physical gifts feel unreachable, while MJ and Kobe force us to confront inadequacy? I really butchered that word.
Inadequacy. That's okay.
Obsession, leadership mentality, and the work most people never choose to do.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were still very talented and athletic. I mean, Jordan had whatever. He was like 6'6", 210, 215, and he had a standing vertical leap, I think, of like 40, 46, 47 inches. Kobe wasn't quite as athletic. I think he was like tested in like the upper 30s from a standstill vertical. But obviously, you know, both guys like very physically gifted, not as gifted as LeBron. But I mean, they both were extraordinarily hard workers, obviously, and they were, yes, obsessed with being the best. So I don't know. No, I don't think LeBron is easier to crown the GOAT. I don't think easier. I think it's just LeBron has come along in a time where there's been this proliferation of social media. And it's like social media by and large, yes, I'm older, I'm on social media, but like by and large, social media is populated by the kids, by like the 20 somethings, 30 somethings. Like that's generally the teenagers. Those are the demographic of people that are running social media or primarily populating it. Therefore, like those are the age demos that support LeBron the most. So he has the biggest like percentage of the voice of the fans on social media because it's those age of kids that are putting this messaging out. So I think LeBron James is overrepresented to some degree in the GOAT discourse. And look, he is also overrepresented on these mass media outlets by these fraud spinster journalists who just want to talk. They just want to build a conversation and try to talk about something controversial. So they need to build up LeBron James to be this ultimate Michael Jordan foil. I don't think he ever got that close. I don't think he's close to the top 5, in my opinion. But that's just me as someone who's been watching basketball for 30 years and someone that's watched every playoff game this cat has ever played in. Like, I just don't think he ever got close to Jordan. That's just my opinion. But I don't think he's easy to anoint. Look, a guy who wins only 4 times in 24 years now, once he starts playing next year in age 24, like that, there's nothing easy about making that case, in my opinion. Even a guy who has the most points ever, who has 4 league MVPs, who is still a top 15 to 20 player at 42 now going into next season. Like, there still is nothing easy about making a case for a dude that has 3.5 rings out of 10 finals appearances over the span of 24 years. Like, that's still a tough case in my estimation. Out of Pocket Variety Show is in next with a little more context on the bracket that we just talked about. Gary, go ahead and read this additional note. Thank you, by the way, for the super chat, Out of Pocket. I appreciate it. Gary, what does he have for us this time?
All teams get modern playbooks and pace available to them, but also get defensive freedom of the 2000s. Refs will let them play.
Yeah, I would pick the Pistons. If it's called with a 2000s whistle and the Pistons are hailing, of course, from the 2000s, I'm taking the Pistons in that bracket. They're so long, so athletic, so defensively geared. Tayshaun Prince was a nasty ass defender and a perimeter defender, and so was Rip Hamilton on the perimeters. And then Ben Wallace was just the best. He's the best defender I've ever seen. Wemby's probably going to eclipse him, but I'd say the best defenders I've ever seen is probably Ben Wallace and Hakeem Olajuwon are like the 2 best defenders I've ever seen to this point of my life. But I feel like, and Russell is probably number 1 on the overall list. I do have my best defenders of all time list, which I still have not. I should probably put it out. So I'll put it out sometime within these next 2 weeks. I will put my 20 best defenders video out. But the best guy I've seen with my own 2 eyes to this point is Ben Wallace. So I think I'd go with that team. Go ahead, Gary.
And also, shout out to Chauncey Billups, who was also very good on that team and a good defender himself.
Yep, for sure. And then, like we said, Rasheed Wallace as well. Okay. Right. Will N864 is asking me, it's not even close, quite frankly. Defensively, Dwight Howard or Ben Wallace? It would be Ben Wallace for sure. I mean, no shade on Dwight Howard. He's got 4 Defensive Player of the Year awards. He's got to be mentioned prominently amongst the all-time greats in terms of the best defenders ever. But he's not, again, the best I've seen is Hakeem Olajuwon and Ben Wallace. And to me, Ben Wallace goes above even Hakeem Olajuwon and look, Olajuwon did it longer and he was more like he could, I don't know. I'd say while he had a longer stint, a longer prime, I'd say Ben Wallace is still, though, like that guy, he was just an animal defensively. He really was. Like he's the best defensive player I've ever seen. And no, I would say Dwight is below Hakeem Olajuwon too, even though I think Olajuwon only has 2 Defensive Player of the Years and Dwight obviously has 4, but still, I think when Hakeem, did I freeze, Gary? No, am I good? Okay. I got a text message saying I was I had frozen. Okay, hopefully I'm still good. I feel like, yeah, if you can see me, I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Let me know, live chat. Just let me see a quick word from one of you guys. Am I streaming? Yep, I'm good. Thank you. That man 8636. I appreciate it. So yeah, I would say for sure for me, it's not really much of a consideration, Big Ben, but shout out to Dwight, Willen, even though according to Kobe, of course, we know to Kobe, Dwight was a soft ass bitch. According to the late great Kobe Bryant. Jay Savage 8295 is in next. I should say in again. Welcome back, my friend. The 2023-2024 Celtics were dominant. They had elite defenders in the starting lineup, and that bench, multiple scoring options. True, they didn't really beat any, and they won like 64 games or 64, 66 games. They had an all-time great net differential. I think they were 5th or 6th all-time in net differential that year, and they had an all-time great SRS as well. So they check all the boxes. 2 elite, all NBA caliber players in Tatum and Brown. They look good, Jay. They check a lot of boxes, and they even had a pretty seamless playoff run. I think they were 16-4 in the playoffs, but they played nobody. They choke every year otherwise, before and after. It's just hard for me to believe that run wasn't a product of the fact the entire Eastern Conference was hurt. Like every good team and player was hurt. And then they got the Mavericks who did not belong there. They weren't ready to be there. So I feel like that Celtics, that run, the outlier run where they're choking every year and crapping on themselves every other year, I feel like that 2023 year, 2023, 2024, that was the outlier year. So I can't believe that if they got good opponents and faced like a gritty team that actually plays hard and plays together, like that Mavericks team that they got in the first round that beat the Miami Heat super team in 2011, I feel like they would take that team out because that team had character, something that the Boston Celtics have never had under Joe Mazzulla. DGang1498 is back in yet again. Thank you, D. Says, did Kobe say AI would be unstoppable if he was 6'6"? Maybe. I mean, Kobe and AI had a lot of mutual respect for each other. AI thinks Kobe is GOAT 2 to Mike. Like me, he's got, like me and so many other players that played in that era, that played Kobe and LeBron or played with or against Kobe and LeBron. He's got GOAT Mike at 1 and the Black Mamba at 2. So AI, a lot of respect for Kobe, and Kobe had a lot of respect for AI. Obviously, they played against each other in the NBA Finals in 2001, and Iverson went off in Game 1 to take the one and only loss against the Lakers, to beat the Lakers in the one and only game that they lost in that 2001 run. So Kobe might have said that for sure. Just like Kobe said Shaq would be unstoppable if Shaq had Kobe's work ethic. All right, Marco is in from Serbia next. What is up, my Serbian brethren? Welcome into you, my friend. Gary, what does Marco have for us from Serbia?
Evening, brothers. Why Darren Holmes didn't get more chance to play? Will he stay or get drafted? What do you guys think? I think he means traded.
Yeah, I don't really know. I liked him, honestly. He barely did play this year. He played 8 minutes a game this season. Of course, he's coming off that ruptured Achilles. He played only 8 minutes per game, and he played in only 25 total games. He did end up starting 6 games because of how many injuries they had. In the playoffs, he played in only 2 games. No points. So, I don't know. I liked him. When they picked him, I liked him. He was blowing it up in the summer league in his rookie year, and then he blew the Achilles. And now this year's his first year back. He looked good in stints that he was on the floor. I would have played him more in the playoffs, and particularly in that series they lost against Minnesota, where that was the only playoffs they got. But I would have played him more. So I don't know. I feel like he's probably still going to be on the team next year, but probably they're not going to use him much next year either, unfortunately, Marco. So I'm just hoping they trade away most of the squad and they give our boy, Marco, they give our boy Nikola Jokic some damn help some good defenders moving forward into next season, because that roster ain't it. A run it back situation, that's not what he and the Nuggets need for them to get back into contention. Thank you, though, Marco, and shout out to you coming to us from Serbia. All right, we've got Vivid Sid 94 is back in. Okay, here we go. He said, I joined 5 minutes ago and heard Sid and Chris Paul. See, Sid, I'm glad you were here. I'm glad you hopped on in time to hear my shout out to you and for me to give Chris Paul a little damn respect. I knew you would like that. I said we were talking the best small guys in the NBA this century. And I said, AI is my number one guy. We're talking under 6'2" and less. I said AI is number one. And then CP3, your guy, would be my next best small sub 6'2" guy. So I was hopeful that you were on. So I'm glad that you were. All right, we've got Keon Hendrickson 638 is up next. Also, Gary, concurring. Did you ever see the movie Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio and Tom Hanks?
I know what it is. I actually didn't watch it because it did not look interesting to me.
One of the few Tom Hanks films I like. But anyway, Leo is pretending to be a doctor at one point, and he saw this one scene on TV where it's like, do you concur? So he asked the other doctor, like he's looking at making the diagnosis. He's like, do you concur? And the other doctor's like, damn it, I should have concurred. So Keon is concurring with us on our co-pick, Gary, of Spurs in 7. We can all be so lucky if this game and this series, which should be a great series, if it goes 7 games. I sure hope it does. Jay Savage 8295 is back in. What's up, Jay? Welcome back into you. How you feel about 2018 LeBron? That was all time. Well, that was the year LeBron got swept by the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. That was the year he had like 50 in game 1, but J.R. Smith forgot how much time was left. Actually, he forgot that the game was tied and not that they were up. And that was the LeBron doing the pointing and like yelling and crying at JR. And then he allegedly broke his hand punching something in the locker room, though we didn't hear or see any ill effects of that all series long till after they got swept. And he came to the post-game presser with a cast on. But anyway, that postseason, I believe LeBron averaged like 35 points per game in that postseason. And I think he had like, I want to say he had like 8 40-point games or something along those lines. Let me go and check out points per game. 34 points per game for LeBron in that postseason. Let's see what the advanced metrics say, though, shall we? Number 1 in PER, number 1 in win shares, number 1 in BPM, number 1 in VORP. So a great playoff run, no doubt about it. Many would say LeBron's greatest playoff run of his entire career. But Jay, ultimately, I just got to echo the slogan of the 95-96 Chicago Bulls when they won 72 regular season games. And they had the saying going into the playoffs, don't mean a thing if you don't get that ring. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, he got swept in the NBA Finals. So it's hard for me to say, like, it was an elite all-time run. And in those NBA Finals, yes, he averaged like 34, 9, and 9, I think. Let me get to it real quick. 34, 10, and 8.5. Yes, those are great numbers. The last wave of those games, though, like the second halves, not altogether that good. I'm just saying. Not altogether that good. Like even in that overtime, when they went into the overtime against like the game he had 50, he had 2 points in overtime. They lost overtime by 10, 17-7, and lost that game 124-114. So I mean, it's hard for me to go too effusive on the praise line for LeBron. I'd say his better playoff runs were like one of the 2 Miami runs, probably. Maybe like the second Miami championship run just because he won a champion. Or maybe even the 2016 run, even though he only averaged 26 points per game. See what I'm saying? Like, he only averaged 26 points per game in the playoffs in 2016, whereas Kyrie Irving averaged 25 points per game. So, like, on the surface, you don't think that looks that good, but he won the championship. And they came back 3-1 against the 73-9 Warriors. That's a better playoff run to me than 2018, even though his stats look so good. It's not always just about the stats. It's about the results. D is back in yet again. Gary, I'll turn this one over to you to read D's most recent, like 9th or 10th one of these of the night. Thank you. Thank you, D.
With a different NBA champ each of the last 8 years, no repeats, and coaches swapped out like trends, is it harder now for coaches to come legendary?
I mean, I don't know. I think we've got Mark Daigneault is a Coach of the Year winner. He's an NBA champion already. I think he's 42 years old. He's going to be a Hall of Fame coach probably, all said and done. And Mitch Johnson is 39 years old. He finished second or third in Coach of the Year this year. I think he probably should have won it this year. And now he's maybe going to win an NBA championship before the age of 40. So, I think those guys – look, and I'll even throw in the guy who I think should have been fired this year in Joe Mazzulla in Boston. He's not 40 yet, I don't think. He won Coach of the Year this year, and he won an NBA championship. So we've got a lot of elite, great young coaches in the NBA right now. So I think, and they're paired with great players. So I think that we're going to have a wave of really great coaches coming. But D, you're right. I mentioned it. I couldn't think of the word earlier, but the word is parity. That's the word that Commissioner Adam Silver, he's had a couple goals in his tenure. I think Adam Silver's had 3 prominent goals in his tenure in the NBA. Globalization, soften the defense, and bring in parity. And he's done pretty much all 3. So I don't think maybe 2 of the 3 have, well, I think the globalization hasn't hurt it, but I feel like softening the defense has definitely destroyed the product to some degree. And then who really knows if parity is good or bad, ultimately? Like, we like dynastic teams, I think, at the end of the day. So, like, I think, and dynasties have run the NBA to some degree, their history. Like, look at it. You had the Minneapolis Lakers in the 50s and the 60s, which segued into, in the late 60s, or into the 50s. You had the Minneapolis Lakers in the 50s, which segued into the Celtics at the end of the 50s into the 60s, the Bill Russell Celtics, 2 dynasties. I think the Minneapolis Lakers won 5, and then the Celtics won 11. Then the 70s, which was like the worst decade of basketball, had no dynasties. I think the Celtics won 2, and that was it. Maybe the Knicks won 2, and then that was it. Those were your only repeat winners that in that 10-year span. Then the 80s, again, all about those dynastic teams. The Lakers, the Celtics. You even had the Pistons win 2 and go to 3. Then you had that make way for the 90s Bulls. And in that span after that, you had the Kobe Lakers, the Duncan Spurs. So, like, you've had these dynastic, then the Golden State Warriors, you could say. Like, there's always been these dynastic strongholds from the beginning of time in basketball. Like, the modern era in 1976, but pro basketball in the United States of America started in 1948. So basically, from the beginning, the infancy of it, in 1950 till basically the last 8 years, like, it's always been about dynastic teams and teams repeating and three-peating and defending and stuff. Now you're right, 8 years without the same team winning. It has been a crazy run of parity. Now, whether that's good or bad, you tell me. But I think the Spurs and the Thunder are going to end the trend. Like, one of these teams is going to win a lot. I don't know which one, damn it, at this point. I would guess the Spurs now have upended the Thunder's would-be dynasty. But one of these 2 teams are probably going to win the championship for the next, 5 or 6 years now, I think. One of these 2 teams. So, we'll see if the Knicks can end it for one more year. If the Knicks win this championship, which is possible, I think that would be a different team for 8 years. And then starting next year, it will be the Spurs or Thunder for 5 straight years. So go ahead, Gary.
You know what I think is better? It's kind of like the truth is in the middle. When you have multiple soft dynasties, kind of like we had in the 2000s. Well, The Lakers did three-peat. I would say that was a dynasty, but after that, you had a soft dynasty with the Spurs, a soft dynasty with the Celtics and Lakers, and then you had the Heat and Pistons who also won. I think that's better than when you have just 1 to 2 teams dominating the entire league, or at the opposite extreme, when it's like 10 different teams, when they switch every other year. I guess if you really want parity, that's good. But to your point, we like really strong teams. Like when you look at the 15 through 18, it was Cavs and Warriors every year. To me, I didn't mind that because I liked the Warriors, but I could see a lot of fans really hating the NBA during that window.
Yeah.
So I like it when you have multiple like softer dynasties overlapping.
Gary, because one of those years, or like 2 of those years, it was crazy. It was like when they added KD, they were like 12-0, 12-1 or something like that both years through the West. And then the Cavs were like 12-0 or 12-1 through the East. It was crazy. Like nobody could even remotely compete in the conferences with those 2 teams. So like, yes, it was compelling when they got to the finals just because it was those 2 loaded teams playing each other. But like, it was no fun otherwise, you know? So like, I feel like you need a little bit more competitive balance, but like, but with that said, it's a fine line because yes, dynastic teams make for compelling storylines. Like you want either root for them or against them. Like you want to see them win or you hate them. Like it's that divisiveness that like really that breeds the enjoyability in terms of like the storylines. And like, I mean, look at how crazy our shows were, our live streams were, like with the Thunder, right? Like I'm primarily, my bread and butter is really LeBron and Jokic. Like those guys have been long gone in the playoffs, not even close to these latter stages of the playoffs. And we had like the most watched crazy shows we've had in doing this in 2 years because the Thunder are just such a polarizing team that like everybody freaking hates watching and wants to root against them. But in order to have, so yes, we enjoy to see them fail and to enjoy to see them lose. But in order to see that and have that built up, that energy about it, you first have to have them be great and win, right? Like they have to be this great force that you can root against, that you have something to root against. So like whether you're rooting for or against, like you need that dominating, polarizing kind of dynastic presence. So like, look, maybe it will be good, Gary, if we can get the Spurs versus Thunder in the West. So that'll whet our palate. And then we get one really good team in the East so that whoever comes out of that West matchup between those two still has a good like opponent that they have to face and have to earn it against in the East. That would probably be like what's most beneficial for the NBA.
And that's what we have right now.
Sure. And it can be even better, Gary, if Adam Silver, you forced Luka Doncic to be traded to LA. Damn it. Make Nikola Jokic get traded to Boston. Can we? Can we do it? Can we make that happen? The Boston Celtics and Nikola Jokic versus Victor Wembanyama and the San Antonio Spurs. Could it get more sexy than that, Gary? You've got the 2 best players in the world that play the same position, playing against each other with great teams surrounding them in the NBA Championship Series. Adam, can you hear me? I know you can. With those satellite ears, that satellite-sized ear dish that you got going on right now, make the call. Tell Denver they'll win the draft lottery like 2 out of the next 3 years if they send Jokic to Boston. Let's get it done. Make the NBA great again, Adam Silvers. All right, next in we've got SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne is back in with an avatar change, a mid-show change, Gary. What is this? What does this one say? Smells like us. Okay, smells like us with this little puppet.
Is that supposed to be you? Is that your puppet? Gary.
I certainly hope not. I mean, chat, what do you think? I think look at
I don't think your nose is quite that big.
Look at the eyes, look at the nose. I don't think you can compare that puppet figure to me. So hopefully that is not supposed to be me, but SKAP Extra Strong Cologne, thank you very much for coming back.
That puppet does resemble you. Game 1 when you came in after the Nuggets lost. That's what you look like.
Yeah, I was
on
pretty,
that
I was
stream.
pretty furious. Here, before you read this NFL-centric message or comment by Scaps Extra Strong Cologne, I talked about the Myles Garrett trade to the LA Rams today, but
Right.
it does bear mentioning AJ Brown was also traded today, who he had a down year last year. He missed some games. They didn't utilize him very much, which is why he wanted to be traded in the first place.
Right.
But to me, in a vacuum, the size, the speed, the route running ability, the downfield threat, in a vacuum, I can't say he had a top 5 year last year, but in a vacuum, if I'm picking if I have a top 5 pick and I need a and we're just picking wide receivers, AJ Brown would be a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL today. So he too was traded today. So we had the best defensive player on earth traded in the NFL, and a top 5 wide receiver who, oh, by the way, was traded to Drake May and the New England Patriots, who last year Drake May was a razor close finisher, second runner-up in MVP vote last year, and they went to the Super Bowl. So that's a huge acquisition. Both these teams, 2 Super Bowl hopefuls with massive acquisitions today. So I just wanted to mention that briefly before we get into Scout. Go ahead, Gary.
And Jaden Waddle, it was a while ago, but Jaden Waddle to the Broncos is a big deal as well.
Also,
another Super Bowl hopeful.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Okay, so what is this Matt Stafford question or comment? He's either going to agree or disagree with me.
All right, here we go. Speaking of Matt Stafford, who is the better all-time Rams quarterback, him or Kurt Warner? Also, I went out on a blind date with a girl who claimed to be an IG model. I told her I was a running back on Madden.
Well, I wonder who was further off. Were you being saying you were a running back, or her saying she was an IG model further off? I would guess yes. And as for your question,
were you catfished? Let me know in the chat. Were you catfished? Was she a IG model in person, or were you in fact being catfished? The chat wants to know.
The chat demands it. Scaps Extra Strong Cologne. Gary, keep an eye on that on his answer on the live chat area. Look, I know I just said Matt Stafford has a fringe top 10 resume, but and Kurt Warner had a very truncated career. But Kurt Warner's peak is like a top 5 all-time quarterback to me. Like that guy's in my lifetime. Let me just say in my lifetime. I started watching football around 95. So that guy's peak was so crazy. Like Kurt Warner, for those of you, I got a lot of NBA fans in here, obviously. So hopefully you won't just drop me as I talk about this. But Kurt Warner is one of the most remarkable stories in sports history, quite frankly. This is a dude who was drafted into the NFL, never materialized early on in his life, bounced out of the league, was making like $350 a game to play in the Arena Football League. I believe it was for the Iowa Barnstormers. You didn't hear me wrong. I said $350 a game while he was stocking grocery shelves at night to make ends meet for his 7 children. That's what this dude was doing when he was 28 years old. And he became the backup quarterback on the Rams when it was Trent Green, actually. The Rams were supposed to be lined up for a good season. Trent Green blew his knee in the last preseason game. And I remember, I'll never forget the press conference, Dick Vermeil crying, the head coach of the Rams, crying in the post-game press conference, talking about how they're going to rally behind Kurt Warner. And I had one question. As a huge, avid follower of the NFL, I had one question. Who the hell is Kurt Warner? I had never heard of him in my life, and that's because the dude was making $300 a game in the playing for the Iowa Barnstormers as a grocery store shelf stalker. And then he comes in that first year that he's thrust into the starting lineup. How's this strike you? League MVP, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, and he set the all-time record for most touchdown passes in a season that year. Unbelievable story. They then go back to the Super Bowl 2 years later and lose to Tom Brady in the Patriots in his first Super Bowl ring, but Warner had them tied in that game with like a minute and a half to go, and his defense couldn't hold it against Brady, which obviously no shame there once we see what Tom Brady became. But then Kurt Warner left town and went to the Cardinals, who hadn't been in the playoffs in like a decade probably plus, and Kurt Warner took them to the Super Bowl, should have beat my Steelers, put them ahead with 2 minutes to go in that game, and again, his defense couldn't hold it. Kurt Warner could easily have been 3-0 in the Super Bowls. He was only 1-2, but he gave his team in the 2 losses, gave them the lead with 2 minutes or less to go, and his defenses blew it for him. But in the process of getting those leads and getting his teams to almost be 3-0 in those games, at the time of that Cardinals-Steelers Super Bowl, he had the 3 highest passing games in Super Bowl history at that time. Now, he has since been passed. Brady now has the highest passing game ever, that 523 spot against the Eagles. But Kurt Warner should and really could be 3-0 in the Super Bowls. I believe he has 2 league MVPs, a Super Bowl MVP in like only 8 years as a starter. The guy's peak is so insane that I'm sorry, I really had to talk about this Scap's Extra Strong clone, because I don't think his resume will be better than Stafford's if Stafford wins the 2nd Super Bowl this year, that I think he will. But at peak, Kurt Warner is better than Matt Stafford, and arguably one of the 3 best quarterbacks maybe I've ever seen at peak. But like, again, he didn't start till so late, and he was out relatively early after that. So I can't say his overall, the totality of his resume is that good. But at his peak, Kurt Warner is insane. And he is I believe was a first ballot Hall of Famer, deservingly so. But great question there. Scap said, go ahead, Gary.
Go back. We're not finished.
Oh.
Go back. We've got to figure out his date status. So he says to me that he thinks he was catfished. And then he said, I asked, so how so? Describe. He said she actually had a decent body and a great butt. Unfortunately, she looked like a female Rob Gronkowski in the face and was annoying as hell.
Come on, bro.
Wow.
Come on. So you're saying it was a butterface situation? You're saying it was a brown bagging situation? So what happens? You go out the window? What happens? Did you excuse yourself to the bathroom and climb out the window? Let's get some additional context here. Scap's Extra Strong Cologne. We're waiting in the live chat eagerly. Let us know, how did the date come to an end? Was there a second date? I mean, we're waiting. The chat is waiting eagerly. Scap's Extra Strong Cologne. Come on, get back in there. Engage. All right, Gary, keep an eye on that.
We want to know. Inquiring minds want to know.
Oh boy, we've gone off the deep end here. All right, we got to know, Gary. Keep an eye out on. We got to get to the bottom of that.
There's a reason he's evading us right now.
It's because he did it. He did what Boy said. We know you did it. Scouts Extra Strong Cologne. Come on, man. Come on. Just say it. We know how it went.
And he thought about Gronk the entire time.
Did you make her wear a Rob Gronkowski jersey? Was it? Anyway, Gary, you keep an eye out on that. I will get back to some of these comments. AJ O'Henry 447 says, Gary, you most definitely a real Spurs fan to me for calling Mike Brown Mike Clown, which he still is. And Scap, favorite Bourne movie, 2002, 2004, 2007. Go ahead, Gary.
I just was clarifying. I actually didn't call him Mike Clown. So I was reading a super chat. Someone else said that. I just said he was overrated. But I got to give props to him. Last year, Thibodeau was the coach. Great defense. But if you remember, I was complaining about how inconsistent and clunky their offense was. Mike Brown took Thibodeau's defense and kept it, but did something on the offense. They are a well-oiled machine now all around. I have much more respect for Mike Brown now, even if they don't win this series, but especially if they do. But this was a great coaching job on behalf of Mike Brown, picking up where Thibodeau left off and building onto it.
AJ, great question as well for the Borns. Look, I love action movies. I love espionage action movies. Not a huge Matt Damon fan, quite frankly. And these movies came out in the same era, sort of, as my main man, Tom Cruise, was igniting the screens with his Mission franchise. Of course, I've seen all of the Bourne films, though, multiple times each. I would honestly say the first one was the best one, I think. So I would pick the first Bourne. And I can't even, what the Bourne was, it the Bourne Ultimatum was the second. I'm trying to think of all of the names. The Bourne
I get
Identity,
them all mixed up. They all bleed together.
I think the Bourne Identity was the first one, and then there was the Bourne Ultimatum. Let me see. Bourne movies. We had I just want to get all the names right. The Bourne Identity, yes, was the 02. So I would say the Bourne Identity was my favorite one. Then the Bourne Supremacy was the 04, and then the Bourne Ultimatum was 07. And then actually, I really liked the Bourne Legacy. The Bourne Legacy was 2012, and that one was actually that was starring Jeremy Renner. While I do not like Matt Damon much, I am a big Jeremy Renner fan. Loved him in The Town with Ben Affleck. Thought he was very good in that. What was that bomb defusing movie, Gary, that he was in?
The Hurt Locker.
Yeah, The Hurt Locker.
Anthony Mackie.
Fantastic, I thought, in that movie. And then I really like the TV show he's in. The mayor of whatever. He's like an unofficial mayor of this town. Is the mayor of Kingstown or something like that? Where
something like that.
He's like presides over. He's the unofficial like go-between between criminals and cops in this big like jail-centric area. Actually, I think it was shot in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Actually,
Mayor of Kingstown. That's what Stephen said.
I believe that's the I believe that's the name.
I know what you're talking about.
But I really like Renner. So I really like that Bourne Supremacy one, actually. But of the Damon ones, it would be the 2002 Identity one, to answer your question, AJ. Okay, we've got BPM 5293 is up next. What's up, BPM? Welcome in. Thanks for being here. Will you do a pre-final special with your boy Toby in Houston to break down the Brown-Johnson coaching matchup? Right in my face, man. Right in my face. Yes, I would probably, I would honestly, BPM, I would love Toby. If Toby in Houston is out there listening by chance, I would have to find a way to get Toby a call-in link, because yes, I would love to hear Toby retell the story about, about the crank in his face in the locker room. I would love to hear it on this. That would be a legendary, SKAP Live After Dark moment for sure, to say the least. All right, we've got Christopher Oliver. I think it's LYL is in next. Christopher, what's up? Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Gary, it is the shoes Jordan developed barefoot. Gary, do you know the reference here?
I'm not quite sure. I know it is the shoes is a reference to Air Jordans, but right. I'm not sure. I don't recall Jordan playing basketball bare feet or anything. I'm not sure what he's referring to.
I'll tell you this though, Gary. I saw a piece on Joseph Alexander today, and he's been training for years with this like stability coach guy, which is really supposed to promote and enhance his balance and stuff. And he trains barefoot to help strengthen the tendons and ligaments and stuff in his feet and ankles, so he has better balance. I thought this was very ironic, Gary, of course, because he hits the ground every single damn play. So maybe it's the shoes. I'll tell you what, Christopher, maybe it's the shoes for SGA. Maybe you should start playing basketball barefoot and he would fall down less, maybe. All right, we've got Samson the Current is in next. Samson, what's up? Welcome to you. Gary, go ahead and read this. This, again, another football-centric question. I like to have a little football stuff going on here because it was a big NFL day. Thank you, Sam, from the Current, for providing us with a football question. Gary, what does it say?
The NFL created parity, and Brady still won 7 rings. How bad is Braun? The NBA has done everything to help Braun. The NFL fined and suspended Brady over crap.
Yeah, Brady went to 10 Super Bowls in like 20 years as a starter or something. 19 or 20 years as a starter. Dude went to a Super Bowl every other year on average and won a third of the time. He was a little more than a third of the time that he was in the NFL, which is it's just preposterous. And yes, they suspended him for Deflategate or whatever. They suspended him the 4 games to start the year. I want to say he went 12-0 when he got back in that year and had like 33 touchdowns and like 3 picks in the regular season. Then went into the playoffs, was down 28-3 in the Super Bowl late in the third quarter and came back and won that Super Bowl in overtime and said, Roger Goodell, tell me how my ass tastes. That was basically Brady's response to being suspended for Deflategate. But yes, the NBA has created every benefit, every opportunity, has done everything they could to help LeBron James. And yet he still only manages to win 4 championships in 23, about to be 24 years. I don't see any way LeBron's winning the NBA championship next year. So 4 championships in 24 years. Pretty humiliating stuff, if you ask me.
They even took hand checking away right after he came into the league to give him an added benefit.
Yep, exactly. All right, Super Q2Q. What's up, Super Q2Q? Welcome in. Love the handle. Great Kurt Warner breakdown. This show is dope. Thank you very much, Super Q2Q. Thank you so much for the kind words of support, and thank you for being here and engaging with us and, fostering movement on the algorithm and so forth. I appreciate all of you guys. I thought really good turnout tonight overall. I was expecting like a pretty slow, quiet night. Still been 3 hours. We still we're about 500 people. We still have 400-ish in right now. So pretty good night, guys. Thank you so much for the energy and activity. We've got Samson the Current in next. SKAP would put a Tom Cruise mask on. SKAP would put a Tom Cruise mask on the Gronk girl. Hey, now I'm a happily married man, guys. No comment though on the Tom Cruise mask. Gary, speaking of which, though, did SKAP's Extra Strong Cologne? He just dropped the chat, didn't he? He just bounced off and didn't want to answer the question of which we all pretty much know. I think we all know damn well what happened with the Gronk.
Did he hook up? Right.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Look, Tom Cruise, I do have, guys, a very long but distinguished list of my all-time man crushes. And Tom Cruise, I could say, historically #1 on my man crush list. So I don't want to confirm or deny anything that Samson the Current might have said. All I'm saying is Thomas Cruise Maypother IV, prime Tom Cruise, #1 on the man crush list. The highest, probably the current guy on the highest spot on my current man crush spot, my active list right now would be probably Ryan Gosling. Love that guy. Love his work. Just an absolute stud, if you ask me. He ranks very high historically as well. Anyway, guys, as I was just saying, great night. Terrific turnout, I think, all things considered. I think we're going to ease on out here at the 3-hour mark. I said I wanted to get in and out with a quick 90 tonight, but as is typically the case, we always seem to run long. It is now 1 a.m. On the East Coast where Gary and I are coming to you from. Gary has something else, though, for us. Go ahead, Gary.
I put a link in the chat. I'm about to go live after we conclude this. I'm going to deal with Listen, I Am Goated, and I'm going to put him in his place if he has the courage to show up, because I'm going to bury him and make an example out of you.
Wow. Okay, you heard it. You heard it here first, guys. An early night for us here, as early as it could be at 1 a.m. On the East Coast. I'm going to try to get some sleep, some rest tonight. I'm probably going to do, guys, I did a Shea Gilgeous-Alexander video today. I hope you would all go check it out and give that a watch. I basically unpack his ridiculously pathetic and sad ousting here in the Western Conference Finals. I think tomorrow, I haven't decided what my video will be tomorrow, but I'm leaning in the direction of a Chet Holmgren video. So you might please get on and check that out as well, if you don't mind. And other than that, I will be just resting tomorrow and gearing up for a massive game one in San Antonio on Wednesday night. And we will be here to unpack it all immediately following the game, probably around 10:30 p.m. Eastern time in the good old US of A. When that game ends, Gary and I will be on shortly thereafter to discuss it, break it down, and of course, talk about whatever else you guys want to talk about and go in whatever direction you guys wish to go in. That is not tomorrow night, but the following night. Same YouTube time, same YouTube channel roughly. In the meantime, guys, have a great rest of your night. Go ahead and join Gary on his live stream whenever we end here momentarily. And then have a good rest of your night. Have a great day tomorrow. And we will connect with you